Welcome back to another Euro Fantasy deadline stream, the final one of the tournament, and we have under 2 hours remaining until kickoff. We'll find out both lineups very soon, and we've got big news already that Luke Shaw is set to start the Euros final. He scored the opening goal in the previous Euros tournament in the final versus Italy in just 3 or 4 minutes, I believe. So let's wait and see if he can do something similar in just a handful of minutes. He's already getting a lot of ball recoveries, but we'll talk about both lineups very soon when they're confirmed. We're not expecting many changes from both teams, so England are only expected to make that one change. Luke Shaw in for Kieran Trippier, and I think Spain will be untouched from the semi-final. They've pretty much got a set 11, and with Pedri injured and Dani Olmo taking his place, there are no real surprises there from the Spanish national team. Let's get straight into your questions and comments. As always, smash the like button and subscribe if you're new. Let's try to get this stream to over 100 likes nice and early, and then push on towards over 200 and potentially even more. So Cylindra starts things off saying, "Hey Dylan, 4 points behind my mini league rival with 5 same players, and he's most probably captaining a Spanish player. Do you think it's possible for me to overtake him?" Definitely. It's only 4 points, and even at the final stage, you can go for 1 or 2 differences, maybe captaining an England player like Phil Foden, Harry Kane or Bellingham, and that could be the difference maker. But even besides the captaincy, just going for certain players, maybe an underrated pick like Dani Olmo, who your mini league rival doesn't have, that could be the difference. But I think at this point, a lot of us will go for that particular Spaniard. Plus, who are the best differential captains or players I can buy? Heard news that Shaw starts. Is it worth buying him over Walker Stones? That's one good idea that you could do. In terms of differential captains, I think Phil Foden could be one. He hasn't produced a goal or assist in this tournament. You could argue it's his time to shine, and he played very well in the semi-final, at least in the first half, then drifted away. But that was more of the Phil Foden we've seen at Manchester City. And should I sell Rice to Saka? Already own Foden and Bellingham. It's a difficult one because Rice is kind of guaranteed to give you 4 points or above, and Saka has a higher ceiling, but I'm not so sure about that transfer. And I've got Saka myself, and I'm still tempted to go for Declan Rice over Saka in my starting 11, maybe go for both at the same time. But I think the midfield is the toughest position to settle on. But if your friend is going for a lot of Spanish players, then maybe go for Rice and Saka at the same time. That could be another difference maker there. Southampton has finished on the England agenda, the anti-England agenda that is. The only thing coming on for England is a Tottenham bottle for each player. Non-Euro fantasy related question, even though Argentina are favourites, I still think Colombia can shock us all. James Rodriguez deserves to win the Copa America. Well, I remember you saying that Uruguay would win it, and I never felt that because their manager, as good as Bielsa can be, he has this tendency to bottle things, and for Uruguay to face Colombia with 10 men for over a half and not to score a single goal or even to create one big chance, it kind of goes to show you mentality is a big thing in football, particularly these international tournaments. James has been the best player in this Copa America, but it's about a team, not just one individual player. And Argentina are the favourites, but I think a lot of people are really backing this Colombia side because of their unbeaten run, which is 28 games. Their last defeat was against Argentina 1-0 back in 2022. I think it was in February, so almost 3 years unbeaten. But if there's one team that can end that streak, it will be Argentina. Taylor Rodkin says, which one? Rodri, Rice, Ruiz, also best 3 defenders and goalkeeper. I'm in the same dilemma myself, so just to kind of make things clear, I've only made 1 transfer at the moment, which is locked in for me. Mbappe to Yamal, it just makes sense. There's no point deliberating on that particular transfer until the very end, but there are a few different decisions to be made, especially in the midfield for me, and what you just said there is one of those key areas. Now, my current preference is Fabian Ruiz. He's been the best of the 3 in Euro Fantasy, particularly in this tournament, but I think Rodri is the big game player. He scored in the Champions League final before, a winning goal from outside the box, which gets you an extra point. He can win player of the match. Declan Rice is the best of the 3 for ball recovery, so very, very difficult one. My current preference is Ruiz, but the closer I get to the deadline, the more I'm warming up to Rodri or Rice for ball recoveries, and in the case of Rodri, player of the match potential. Viva España says Southampton is finished. I think a lot of people are supporting Spain in this one, but there's still going to be some English supporters there. Thank you, Gur, for the super chat. Massively appreciated. I have no chips, so I have limited options. Stones or Morata. Yeah, I'm not using a chip either, but with 5 free transfers, I think most of us are fine. You only need a starting 11. The bench is irrelevant. I'd go for Stones over Morata. Now, Spain are more likely to win on paper. They've got the better team. But in terms of Euro fantasy points, I think Stones is more likely going to get something, whether a clean sheet, which is unlikely, but then there's ball recoveries. And Morata is very erratic in front of goal sometimes. He's got a great record for Spain, particularly at the Euros. He's the all-time record goal scorer with 7 goals in this competition. But I would go for John Stones there. Thank you very much for the question. I'll try to answer these questions and whiz through these, but even for the final stream of the Euro tournament, we're still getting a lot of comments, which I appreciate. Not a Euro fantasy question, but have you seen Villa's signings for next season? Onana, Maatsen, Barrenechea. Yeah, they're making some very good signings, that's true. And what I said a few weeks ago, and I think at the end of the Premier League season, one of my early predictions was for Villa to kind of fall off a little bit, but they're making good signings, and if they make a few other good signings, and depending on what other clubs do, then they've got a chance of finishing top 4 again, perhaps even pushing even further. But it's a very difficult balance to strike between Champions League football and the Premier League, so even by signing Onana and Maatsen, which looks very good on paper, there are still some question marks there about how do Aston Villa deal with the extra games. And yes, they had the Conference League games, but you can rotate, particularly in the early stages. You cannot do that in the Champions League, otherwise you're going to be found out. Jack says Spain and Argentina to win. They are the favourites, I'd say, but Spain-England is a closer game on paper anyway. I still think England have so much individual quality, we cannot write them off. So yeah, we'll wait and see, of course. Those are the two teams I'm kind of supporting. I'm more neutral, I'd say, in Spain versus England. And a lot of people will probably say, what? England's your country? And fair enough, I understand that. But in terms of football, I just can't connect with the national team. I never could. And Argentina are rivals with them, so that also plays a part. I kind of agree on Argentina winning, but you never know of Colombia. Certainly, of course, Colombia are a good team. And James is in the form of his life right now. But yeah, I'd say Argentina, I'm always going to back them in one of these games. And I've got a lot of their scorelines right, by the way, in this Copa America. I predicted 2-0 wins against Canada in both matches. Ecuador was the only game I got wrong, and that was Argentina's worst performance in the last 5 years. Which Serbian player do you think was the best in the Euros? As a Serb, I'd say Pavlovic. He's the only one that played with passion. Yeah, I'd say Pavlovic is probably right up there. I'm a bit disappointed with the likes of Kostic, who got an injury at some stage, I believe. Also Tadic, who is generally a very good creative player. But yeah, I'd say Pavlovic was probably the best of a bad bunch, unfortunately. I also think the goalkeeper was quite decent, particularly in the first game against England. He made a mega save to deny Harry Kane. But yeah, probably Pavlovic, I'd say. Netherlands were robbed on the penalty. Kane hit Dumfries first, not the other way around. Yeah, I don't think it was a penalty. Some people think it was, and that's understandable, but it wasn't a clear and obvious error for VAR to overturn that decision, which is very inconsistent, and it goes to show that VAR can ultimately influence games. Are you going to stay up and watch Copa America final? Yeah, I always stay up to watch Argentina. I could have work at 6 a.m. in the morning, have to wake up at that time. I'll stay up until 4 or 5 a.m. to watch Argentina. It's a bit of a enfermedad, let's put it that way. Also on Foden, I personally think he'll score. Yeah, I think Foden is kind of due to do something in this tournament. No goals or assists, and football is beyond that. It's not all about goal contributions, but in Euro Fantasy, that's what we want for the points, and I think Foden could be a nice punt for the final match day. So if you are looking for differentials, if you're chasing a mini-league, rival, for example, I think Foden could be one of the best ones. My prediction is Spain to win 3-0. I'd be surprised. I think you said Switzerland would batter England a few weeks ago, or if not you, someone said in the comment section, and I always felt, yeah, Switzerland might be playing better, but England don't really get battered. I think the last time they got thumped in a game was probably by Hungary on home soil. Kane isn't injured. He's fine. He's flagged at the moment because he came off early. He's going to start this final. There's no doubt about it. And we might as well go into the provisional England team, which I've seen online. So let's go into this. This is according to Sam, who works for the United Stand, and That's Football. So the England 11 will likely be Pickford in goal, Mark Gay, Stones, Walker, and Luke Shaw. That's the big change. Shaw in for Trippier. Saka, Kobe Mainoo, Rice, Bellingham, Foden, and Harry Kane. So just the one change for England. And for Spain, I would expect 0 changes from their semi-final win against France. I'll go back to other screens very soon, but I'll leave that on for a little while longer. And in around half an hour's time, when the lineups are officially out on UEFA's website, we'll be going through them and discussing our thoughts. Come on, fantasy points, I'm a Captain Yamal. Not a bad shout. He's probably my tip for player of the tournament. He's right up there with 3 assists, only the 1 goal, but his overall play has been incredible. So yeah, Kane isn't injured, just to make that clear. I don't know, but I'm just getting a feeling that it's really coming home, even though I want Spain to win desperately. Yeah, I think I'm also feeling the same way. A few days ago, I said my prediction is 1 or 2-0 Spain. I think I went for 1-0. But the closer I get to the deadline, I don't know, something kind of, I don't know how to describe it. It's a feeling, a gut instinct that England could do it as well. But if it were to be the case, it's going to be very scrappy. Spain could take the lead and then England have to make a comeback or go all the way to penalties or extra time. It's coming to Madrid. Not sure about that one. Foden or Saka? Generally, I prefer Saka for England. The records speak for themselves. But I think Foden in the semi-final was very impressive, especially in the first half. I'm going to stick with Saka, but Foden isn't a bad option. And in terms of differentials, that's maybe not the right word for Foden, but relatively speaking, I think going for Foden as one of your final transfers could really deliver and result in a green arrow. I'm going for Foden because of Man City DNA, says Wasif. Is there a way to turn on auto subs? The only way auto subs will happen in the final is if you play someone in your starting 11 who doesn't feature at all. So let's say you've got Oyarzabal and he doesn't come on from the bench and he plays 0 minutes. That's the way you can make an auto sub work. But ultimately, you want to be in control of your team, pick the 11 best, but you can't make manual substitutions. Come on England, says Gary, who said football's coming home in a recent video, which resulted in some different comments. Currently thinking to captain Foden or Kane. Yeah, for England, I think Kane or Bellingham would be my top picks. I just think they're the most likely to score. I know Harry Kane's record in finals isn't great, but the majority of them are with Tottenham Hotspur, and you can't really compare the two, I think. And England have a lot of talented players. Kane hasn't really got going in this tournament, and yet he's sharing the golden boot with Dani Olmo and 4 others. That's one key update, by the way, from my previous video. UEFA have announced that assists are no longer the tiebreaker like it was in the previous Euros tournament. So actually, at the moment, 6 players are set to win the golden boot, unless Dani Olmo or Harry Kane can clinch that 4th goal, potentially even more, in the Euros final. Yeah, Spain lineup wouldn't surprise me if it was out already. I'll check it out, Soldier Boy. Thank you very much for the update. I know these comments are quite old, by the way, but I'm trying to answer every single question. I'll whiz through these eventually, so just give me a second, and Bob's your uncle. So let me know, by the way, throughout the stream if there are any issues, but keep on smashing the like button and subscribe if you're new. It'd be massively appreciated. So let's wait and see. Let's go for the Spain lineup. I think it's probably on their Twitter page. Yep, it is official. I think they did it in a video, which is a bit annoying. So yeah, Unai Simon will be between the sticks. No surprises there. Dani Carvajal is back from suspension and he also starts. Lenormand is also in there alongside Aymeric Laporte, surely. Yep. And Cucurella, it's literally a video and they're kind of doing a 5-second interval for each player. So now going into the midfield, Rodri, of course, he's going to start, going alongside Fabian Ruiz and Dani Olmo, surely. So pretty much no changes. Spain have really been consistent with their starting 11. They've played the best football. Yeah, Dani Olmo comes in for Pedri for the last 2 games. Nico Williams on the left-hand side. Morata up front, and then Yamal on the right. So the Spain lineup is out, and once they've got it in an image, which I can show you, I'd be very happy to do so. I don't want to play that video, to be honest, but surely they'll put a graphic very soon. And UEFA will announce both lineups shortly. So just the one change between England and Spain from the semi-finals. Luke Shaw comes in for Kieran Trippier on the left-hand side. Everything else is the exact same for Spain and England in terms of their lineups. So yeah, there you go. Captain Rodri or Mainu? I'd go for Rodri. Will Morata start? Yes. He's always going to start. Yeah, Alex, he starts. Ezra says Foden and 4 Spanish mids, or 3 Spanish, no Nico Williams, or 3 Spanish, Rice Foden. Difficult one, but my gut feeling would be 3 Spanish with Rice and Foden. Now, my personal preference is to go for a Bellingham or Saka over Foden, but I think that's fine what you've gone for there. Rice, Rodri, Bellingham, Ruiz, Nico, Olmo. Who are you keeping and who are you captain? Well, I don't have Declan Rice. I've got Saka personally. But in terms of your situation, I definitely keep Olmo 100%. I think Bellingham for the clutch factor. He's a man of big moments. I'd keep him. Then it's very difficult between the others. I'm not sure how many players you want to sell there. Maybe just the one of them. But in terms of captaining, I'd probably go for Dani Olmo. And Bellingham is second on my list. What is the best strategy if you're first in your mini league with 18 points ahead? It's a good question. I mean, you could argue a balance between England and Spain is the best thing you can do to protect your mini league, but I'm not sure what your rival has in terms of players, if he's going to go for more English or Spanish, so that's difficult to kind of gather. But ultimately, you want to go for maybe the template picks in your scenario if you want to be conservative and protect your lead. So, yeah, Dani Olmo in the midfield with, I'd say, the likes of Bellingham, I think would be a must. Harry Kane up front and Yamal goes without saying. And at the back line, I'd probably favour Spanish players in general, so that's what I'd go for. Hi mate, what do you think the best formation is? Between 3-5-2 and 4-4-2 for this Euros final, and I'm kind of debating that myself, and depending on my final transfers, that will be my final formation for Euro Fantasy. I'm 1 point ahead in my FPL league. I'm guessing that's Euro Fantasy. Who should I captain? I think if you're back in Spain to win, one of Dani Olmo or Yamal, and for England, Harry Kane or Bellingham. So I'd stick with one of those 4 players. If you are backing a Spanish clean sheet, you could go for a defender, but I'd probably avoid the English defenders in this one, even Mark Gay, who has been great in this tournament. I would start Bellingham over Declan Rice. I just think he has a far higher ceiling, so that's what I'd go for. España usará misma formación, 3 ingleses y resto de España. Sí, usarán la misma formación. Y sí, para mí está bien. 3 ingleses y resto de España. Sí, yo estoy haciendo algo parecido. 7 o 8 de España en este momento. Ese es el plan. Y para mí está bien. Best formation to play. I just covered that. So yeah, 3-5-2 or 4-4-2. One of those two. I don't think 3-4-3. I wouldn't go for Watkins, Morata, Bowen or Tony as my third striker. I'd rather go for a defender or midfielder. Nico Williams or Rodri? I would go for Nico Williams, but Rodri has that big game factor. Final match day of the Euros, how it's held by. Thanks for all the help, bro. Rice or Saka? Thank you very much. I would go for... I think I'd go for Rice. If I had a clean slate and I'm going with a 50-man squad, I think I'd just about go for Rice. Because with Saka, you need a goal contribution, and to do that in a final against Spain is going to be very difficult. Best punt, Watkins, Palmer, Oyarzabal or Mainu? I think Oyarzabal. I don't know why, but I think he's the most likely to do something off the bench. I know Watkins had a terrific impact in Matchday 6. Cole Palmer's a shout, but I think Oyarzabal. What do you think about Mainu as a differential? I really rate Mainu. I've always said this. He's probably the one Man United player I'd take at Arsenal, for example. But in Euro Fantasy, I think there are better options from England and Spain alike. So I wouldn't necessarily go for him. He has scored in a final before against Manchester City, but I wouldn't go for Mainu in Euro Fantasy. No, Juan, no es mi equipo final. Hice una transferencia nada más y me faltan 4 más para hacer. Gay or Shaw? That's actually a close one. Shaw looked very impressive in terms of ball recoveries. I'd probably go for Mark Gay, though. I think with Shaw, you could see him being subbed off early, which could work in your favour if England still have a clean sheet around 60 minutes, but it can also go against you. I did a -4 for last game week. When does it deduct the points? I think it does it by the end of the match day, so the 4 points have already been taken away. What formation do you think is best for today? I'm getting a lot of these questions, and that's understandable. It's very typical of UCL Fantasy and Euros when we get to the final. 3-5-2 or 4-4-2. Best captain for the final, Dylan? I'd say Dani Olmo from Spain and Harry Kane from England. It's actually between him and Bellingham for me. But I've always said, for me, the top 4 captaincy options, it depends on your prediction. So if you're back in Spain to win, go for one of Olmo or Yamal in that order. And for England, Bellingham or Kane, probably in that order as well. Hi, Dylan. Shaw or Lenormand for differential? Luke Shaw. I'd rather go for him. Thank you for the super chat, Gurf, once again. 1 point lead. He'll captain Yamal. I'm going Olmo. Do you think I should match to preserve the lead or stick with Olmo? Your advice has got on me here. Thank you. It's such a difficult one. We're talking about very fine margins, particularly in a Euros final. My preference is Dani Olmo simply because he has scored more goals than Yamal, who got his first goal of the tournament in the semi-final stage, and Olmo gets more points in general for being a midfielder, getting a clean sheet, and also an extra point for scoring a goal. So my preference will be Dani Olmo, considering his consistency in terms of goal contributions, but Yamal is a very nice option as well. Obviously, look, it's easier said than done, and it might sound very stupid what I'm going to say, but I always say to people, it's about who you back to score the most points, and don't just go for someone because of ownership or because you want to cover someone else in a sort of way in terms of the captaincy. But I prefer Dani Olmo over Yamal because of the midfielder classification and the sheer consistency in terms of goal contributions. So good luck with your final decision, and for winning your mini league. It will be tough, but you can get the job done. Hi Dylan, Shaw or Lenormand? Yeah, I just covered that. Luke Shaw. Gay, Shaw, Walker, Stones. Pick two, please. Gay and Shaw. Hold up, is Watkins going to be on pens for Villa? Possibly. With Douglas Luiz going to Juventus, it does open the door, but Watkins has a poor record from the spot. I think his last penalty for Villa was a miss in terms of in the Premier League when he took it on the pitch, not in a penalty shootout, for example. I think he missed his last penalty. That was the season before last. Laporte in or Rice? And also I got a 22-point lead. Do you think that's secure? Not entirely secure, but you've got a great chance of winning it, to be quite honest with you. I'd go for Laporte over Declan Rice. Both of them are good for ball recoveries. Rice is slightly better, but Laporte has the clean sheet potential with 4 points for keeping a clean sheet, whilst Rice just gets the 1, and England aren't really favoured in terms of keeping Spain out. I've seen most of the new FPL prices, and I think fairly soon I'll start making FPL content again, but I wanted to fully focus on Euro Fantasy first. So yeah, in just a matter of time, I think I'll get back to FPL. Saka or Ruiz? Saka. Not by much though, and Ruiz has been better in this tournament. Foden or Ruiz or Rodri or Rice? I've got a good feeling about Foden, to be fair, but I'm not even sure if I'm going to go for him myself. Maybe if I didn't have Saka and Bellingham already, I'd be more open to going for Foden in my own team, but I'm probably going to go for... You know what? I'm going to go for Foden. Saka, Gay or Rice? I would go for Mark Gay. I don't know why Ferran Torres is not in the starting 11. I think he is very good and better than Morata in this Euros. Well, it's also what Morata offers off the ball and with his positioning, and he does get into good opportunities. It's a bit like Darwin Núñez for Uruguay. His finishing is terrible, but he does a lot for the team. That's probably why. But Ferran Torres is more clinical, that's for sure. I think Williams will struggle against Walker, but Yamal will destroy Shaw. It's possible, but Luke Shaw is a good left back. It's just being put into a final, his first start of the tournament up against Yamal, it could be a mismatch, but Luke Shaw is a decent defender. That goal by Yamal has to be goal of the tournament. I think so, considering the context as well. The semi-final stage against France. Yeah, I think that would be up there. Carvajal or Cucurella? Very close, but because of what he did in the Champions League final, I would lean towards Carvajal. Thank you, Girth, as well, once again. I'm 6 points behind in my mini-league. Which differentials do you recommend? It's difficult to get differentials at this stage. And, for example, Laporte, who I recommended last week, had 5% ownership, and now it's around 12%. Let me now go back to my team, by the way. So I think Laporte would still be one of them, but his ownership is, I think, around 15% at this stage, so it's not ideal. I'm going to have a look at the ownership figures right now and go for the lowest owned players that can really make a difference to your squad. So yeah, Laporte would be up there for me. He's got 20% ownership now, which is crazy. Declan Rice would be another one. After that, you're really looking at fringe players who will likely not get many minutes. For England, you've got Watkins and Palmer, but I wouldn't really recommend them. I think Luke Shaw for England would be a mega differential for you. So if you are backing England for the win, a clean sheet, or you want an English defensive coverage, go for Luke Shaw, who is set to start today. But don't confirm any transfers until you see the final lineups for both teams, which it looks like is confirmed, obviously, for Spain. And for England, I think we're only going to get the one change, which is Shaw in for Trippier. But yeah, I'd probably go the Declan Rice and Luke Shaw as differentials for England. And for Spain, I mean, I can't even call Laporte a differential, can I, with 20% ownership. Lenormand could be decent with 3%, but I think he is a step below Cucurella, Carvajal, and Laporte as well. So, unfortunately, it's difficult to find these differentials for Spain. Maybe Oyarzabal off the bench could be that difference maker who gets the winner for Spain. So, yeah, very difficult. So, let's see what else people are saying. Apologies to the channel members if I haven't answered some of your questions. I'm going to see now. Which forwards to get other than Kane and Yamal? We've got slim pickings, let's be very honest about that. It's between Watkins, Morata, Ferran Torres, and Tony. My favourite would probably be Ollie Watkins. English or Spanish, first one to move is... first one to score, that's a difficult one. So in the last couple of rounds, England have conceded first, and Spain did that in the semi-final and also against Georgia back in matchday 4. But typically Spain score quite early. I think Spain are probably the ones to score first. Dylan, to change Gay for sure is a good idea. It could work, but I don't really see a massive upside to that. I think if you're covering England defensively with 2 of them, Gay and Shaw are the best options. Nice one, Demir. 7th in Dylan's league, trying to win. Good luck. It will be tough, but it's still possible. Captain today? My current captain is Olmo. I've said this before, and I'll probably be asked this again, but I try not to repeat myself too much. So if you're backing Spain to win, I'd go for Dani Olmo or Yamal in that order. And for England, either Bellingham or Harry Kane. Who's on penalties for Spain? Rodri. Yeah, in terms of price, reactions and stuff, FPL content, it'll probably be later this week or going into the next week. But yeah, I wanted to focus fully on Euro Fantasy first, and after I'll do some updates on FPL graphics and stuff and try to make the best content possible. Also want to win another league where I'm first with 18-point advantage, thinking going 4-4-2 with even split of players, Olmo captain. That's a sound strategy, and that should be enough to see off your rivals. But of course, strange things happen even in Euro finals. Yeah, Guller's goal was quite good as well, to be fair, but I just think Yamal's, the context, the difficulty of the opponent, the semi-final stage, being 16 years old at the time. Look, it's a very close one, I think, between those two, but I think you make a good shout. Bruno, thank you very much. Hola Dylan, felicitaciones por los 25,000. Tengo 7 puntos de diferencia al líder de mi mini league. Dame 2 diferenciales y un capitán diferencial. Gracias. Muchas gracias, Bruno. Me alegro por lo que dijiste. 2 diferenciales. Luke Shaw y quizás Declan Rice. Y como capitán, es medio difícil eso, pero creo que para Inglaterra, Phil Foden sería un capitán bastante bueno como diferencial. Y para España, quizás Yamal, pero creo que muchos van a ponerlo como capitán. Así que no sé si puedo llamarlo diferencial, digamos. Así que sí, diría Phil Foden para capitán diferencial y Luke Shaw y Declan Rice para diferenciales en general. What's your prediction? So look, I did this last time and I regretted it because I told you lot, I said 2-1 Spain, but I went for 2-1 in the predictor to France to go against my mini league rival and to try to usurp him. So that was a big mistake there. I'm probably going to repeat that by doing the same thing. So with Spain, I think they'll probably win 1-0. But in terms of my prediction, if we go to it right now, I'm going for 2-1 England, and this is kind of last chance saloon for me to win a particular mini league I've got in predictor. So I'm going for England, as I know my rival will go for Spain. Now, unless he's watching this, he sometimes does, and he would maybe go for the same prediction as I am to cover it, maybe, who knows. But I've gone for 2-1 England in this predictor, but I'm not even going to sit on the fence and, you know, say I told you so if England go on to win it. My original prediction was 1-0 Spain. And that was a couple of days ago. I'll stick with that, but I'm going something different to win this mini league. I'm not going to claim an England win if they end up, you know, if football comes home in the end, so don't worry about that. I'm not going to live large for nothing. So right now we have 400 people watching, almost 500. Thank you very much for the support. Smash the like button. Let's get this to over 100 likes. It'd be massively appreciated. And we want to wrap this up in style. Euro Fantasy content has been very well received this summer, and we've experienced a lot of growth, reaching 25,000 like Bruno said earlier. So thank you very much for all the support. I think Shaw gets 60 plus minutes, but you can't bet on it and you can't count on that happening. So there is a chance he is subbed off around 50 minutes or even half time, especially if Yamal gives him a very tough occasion. But yeah, I think Shaw will get to just about 60-70 minutes and he'll be subbed off. Moman says, good luck to everyone. I have no questions today, just waiting for the starting lineups, and I feel like the team picks itself. Yeah, so Spain have already put their lineup, no changes from the semi-final, and England will likely just make one change, Luke Shaw in for Kieran Trippier. The rest remains the same. Feels like it's written, luck on their side, like Chelsea in the Champions League. Yeah, that's also a factor, but sometimes you also have this thing where your luck runs out. You have so much luck in the build-up, and then it runs out when it matters most. So, yeah, I see what you're saying, and that's also part of the reason why it wouldn't surprise me if England got the job done today. But I'm going to stick with Spain, and I'll likely go for 7-8 players. Yeah, I watched the Wimbledon final. I was kind of rooting for Alcaraz because, well, I'm kind of a Federer guy, to be quite honest with you, and also I want new players to win. I know Alcaraz will probably dominate for the next decade or so, but yeah, he plays some great tennis. He's kind of like a hybrid between Nadal, Djokovic, and Federer, so he's always good to watch. Hey, bro, keep up the content. Good luck tonight. Thank you, Kevy. Likewise to you. Rice or Rodri? Probably Rice for ball recoveries, but I have to say Rodri is incredible in finals. He's done it before in the Champions League just 2 years ago. Or in fact, it's actually just over a year ago now. So it's a very close call, but I'm going to go for Declan Rice here. 4-4-2 or 3-5-2. So originally I went for 4-4-2 in all my videos, but I have to say I'm leaning towards 3-5-2 at the moment because of the sheer number of midfielders at our disposal. I want 6 transfers, but only 5 is available. What the subs are have points. Just make 5 transfers and get a starting 11. You don't need substitutions because you can't make them manually after the deadline. I've always said this from the beginning. For Matchday 7, you can't change the captaincy or make substitutions yourself. Captain Rodri, good luck, says Ruler 2. Likewise, and that's not a bad shout at all. Pick one English midfielder. Currently got Bellingham, but I'm not sure. Yeah, Bellingham is my favourite because of the clutch factor. After that, I'd say one of Rice or Saka. And as some people mentioned in the live chat, I've got a good feeling about Foden. I wouldn't go for Kobe Mainoo. I like him as a player, but not in Euro Fantasy. So if I had to pick one other English midfielder, I'm probably going for Declan Rice. As a rule of thumb, should people who are ahead choose high ceiling players to cover their potential scores or defensive mids to get guaranteed points? Great question, Ruben, and it might also depend on the level of the lead you have. If you're only 1 point ahead, that's a very risky strategy. But if you've got a 20-point advantage and your mini-league rivals have to go for these high-ceiling players to catch up, that's where you want to maybe go for these high-ceiling players to cover any, of these possibilities happening. And the only way they can claw the deficit up is by captaining those differentials with high ceilings. So it's a great question. I think it ultimately depends on the level of the lead you have. Daniel Costa says 3-4-3. Unai, Carvajal, Laporte, Gay, Bellingham, Foden, Fabian, Olmo, Kane, Yamal, and Morata. What do you think? I think it's a very good squad. My only problem with it is Morata. Now, this might age horribly, and Morata scores the winner, like Torres did 16 years ago in the Euros final, but I wouldn't go for Morata. I'd rather go for, so let's see who you have, Laporte, Carvajal, and Gay. Maybe Cucurella or Luke Shaw in the back line, and in the midfield, I mean, Saka, Declan Rice, Rodri, Nico Williams. So you've got Foden, Bellingham. Yeah, one of those midfielders over Morata for me. I'm leading by 1 point. Any advice for me? It's a very slender lead and anything can happen. It's a tricky question to answer because I don't know who your mini-league rival has, who they're set to captain, if they're back in Spain or England. But I just keep playing your game, in my opinion, instead of focusing too much on what your rival's going to do. Because if you do, I think that could result in a swing where your mini-league rival ends up winning it, and you want to avoid that if possible. So keep playing your game. If you're back in Spain to win, go for more Spanish players, and you can still go for the best English assets like Bellingham or Saka, Kane, etc. So yeah, go for what you think is going to happen in the predictions. So if you're back in Spain to win, go for 6 or 7 Spanish players at the least. ¿Se ganan puntos por jugador del Euro o solamente puntos de la final? Por jugador del Euro. La verdad no entiendo la pregunta, Joao, te digo la verdad, pero solo los que están en tu 11 van a anotar puntos y no puedes hacer sustituciones después de que empiece el partido. Pero creo que entendí mal la pregunta. Walker or Cucurella? Cucurella. Pick one English midfielder. Sorry, I covered that. Hey Dylan, hope you're doing well. What's the best strategy if I'm 30 points ahead? Yeah, so I covered this just a few minutes ago. I think if you're 30 points ahead, just keep playing your game anyway, of course, and I always recommend that to people, but maybe you can go for the riskier picks, so to speak. The ones that have a high ceiling, like a Dani Olmo or a Phil Foden, those that can get a double-digit haul in the final. A Declan Rice, while he's more consistent, is less likely to do that for you. He'll kind of offer you 4 or 5 points as a safe and secure player, but I'd probably cover off the high ceiling players, as someone mentioned rightfully earlier. I think it was Ruben. So yeah, I'd cover the high ceiling players if possible. Bro, Foden or Bellingham? I'm confused. Bellingham. I've said that from the beginning. When do you expect Shaw to be subbed? Around 60 minutes, I'd say. I think he makes it for the appearance point, but it's a very close call. Yeah, I've only taken, well, in fact, I've taken no hits in this tournament, and it's very rare for me to do that in Euros, World Cup, or UCL Fantasy. I don't think Foden is a bad captaincy option, but I'm not going there. Don't forget Bellingham's goal versus Slovakia. Yep, and obviously the goal against Serbia. He hasn't played well in this tournament for me, but he is just a man of big moments, and that's why he's in my team. Having 10 players is good too, so Southampton is finished. Well, yeah, I mean, ultimately you want to have 11, but I wouldn't necessarily take a hit to get to an 11, and I definitely wouldn't be focused on the bench. It's not even that important. I'm being a mentalist and captaining Foden. Well, if he goes this Euro tournament without a goal or assist, that would be a shock, and it would also be a very underwhelming campaign. But if he scores the winner in the Euros final today, then it kind of makes up for it. My final team won't be revealed until later because I'm waiting for the official lineups, even though we kind of know what's going to be done there. And I've got one last decision to make, possibly two, and that involves the midfield in particular, because I could sell one of my current midfielders who are Spanish or English and then go in a different direction to Phil Foden, Declan Rice, Rodri, etc. But my current plan is to basically do what I talked about in my team selection video on podcast. So I'll make my final team soon, and once that happens and I make my final decision, yeah, my team will be locked in and you'll see. Dylan's the most Spanish English man I know. Well, not Spanish, it'd be Argentinian, but thank you very much. Then I've put a head-to-head Spain versus England on your recent tweet on X. Please have a look. All right, thank you. I think the recent record would be in Spain's favour, but historically, I think England are better. So in Euro Championships, Spain have scored 13 goals, England have scored 7. Oh, it's a head-to-head for this tournament, right. So Spain have scored almost double the number of goals. They've had 17 more shots on target, 19 more shots off target. Possession average, well, actually slightly in favour of England there. And passes completed, more for England as well. Interesting. Something you wouldn't really expect there. I'd go for 4-4-2, Fenerbahce. I'd go for 4-4-2. My favourite lineup would be 4-4-2 or 3-5-2. I wouldn't go for a third striker, personally. I wouldn't do that. So let's get this show on the road. Let's see if the lineups are confirmed on UEFA. They aren't still, which is a bit annoying, but we pretty much know what the two teams are going for. Keep smashing the like button. We are 15 away from 100, and after that we want to get to 200 plus to wrap up a great Euro campaign. So yeah, this is my current prediction, but this is not really what I believe, to be quite honest with you. I'm trying to basically make a miraculous comeback in a mini league. So we'll talk more about that later, but my prediction personally is probably a 1-0 Spain. I'll stick to that from what I said a few days ago. But the most important thing for us today is the Euros final in Euro Fantasy. And I haven't really made my transfers yet. Only Yamal in for Mbappe. I've got 4 transfers left, and I will likely go for Carvajal and Cucurella and go for a back 4. And I'm still open to buying a Rodri, Fabian Ruiz, Declan Rice or Foden and go for a 3-5-2. That's also possible. And maybe even going for Luke Shaw in the backline as a differential. I'm also open to that. He has scored in a Euros final before, and he's looked pretty good when coming on, especially in terms of ball recoveries in Euro Fantasy. So let's keep on going into your questions. No, the bench isn't important. It isn't. I've said this all along. So it's all about your starting 11. Hi Dylan, thoughts on Foden or Rodri? Foden has the higher ceiling. Rodri is kind of more consistent, and it'd be a similar debate if Declan Rice was involved. I think I'd go for Foden just for the high ceiling. I'm not going to lie. Now, if you're absolutely convinced about Spain winning or keeping a clean sheet, then it's not really much use going for Foden. Now, I did say just now 1-0 is my prediction, but I'm not entirely sure about it. It's a final. It's difficult to predict. And I think in this Euros tournament, especially recently, my Euros predictions haven't really been on it. Ruiz or Rodri captain? I'm going to say Fabian Ruiz, but just about. Thoughts on 4-5-1, Kane only striker? I'd go for Yamal up front. I haven't had him all tournament, and I did regret not going from him Matchday 6, but yeah, go for Yamal. ¿Más defensas o más medios? Mi plan original era para ir por más defensores, así que un 4-4-2, pero ahora en este momento estoy muy cerca de ir por 3-5-2 y ir por más mediocampistas. What do you think for La Copa America between Argentina and Colombia? It'll be a tough game. I don't think it'll be high scoring at all. I think it'll be 1 goal in it. Like I said earlier, I've gotten a lot of the Argentina predictions right. The only one I got wrong was Ecuador, where I expected a 2-0 win, and Argentina played their worst game in 5 years. But yeah, I think Argentina will do it, but it's going to be difficult. Colombia in great form. Their last loss was 2 years ago against Argentina, and it was by that same scoreline, 1-0. 3 Spanish defenders and 1 English. Yeah, I think that's a good strategy. If you're backing Spain, I think that's probably the optimal play. You'd always want one coverage from the other team defensively, even if you're backing the other team to win, of course. 5 defenses is a good strategy. It's not a bad one, that's for sure. There are a lot of good options in the midfield and defense, so yeah, I'm not against that, but my favourite formation is 3-5-2 or 4-4-2. Nico Williams or Rodri? I'm going to go for Williams just for the attacking potential, the higher ceiling, but it's very close. Pickford or Simon? I'm currently going for Unai Simon. And actually, you raise a good question, and I put a lot of polls out today, so let's get straight into that. So let's actually refresh this because more votes have come in. So what will your approach to Matchday 7 be? Go for more Spanish players is leading with 60%. In second is striker balance between the 2 finalists. And in last, we've got get more English players. So a lot of you are backing Spain to win the Euros final, from those that voted, of course. And you can do so by going to my YouTube page, going to the community tab, and casting your vote. Choose your final captain in Euro Fantasy. Just going to give this a quick refresh. I think we've got more votes in by now. So Dani Olmo is leading with 44%. In second is Yamal. Harry Kane is third. And then we've got other in fourth, and then Bellingham in last with just 9% of the vote. Select your goalkeeper for the Euros final, which is the question I was just asked. 65% of you have gone for Unai Simon. As for this midfielder question, Fabian Ruiz is leading it with 39%. Rodri is second, Foden third, and Declan Rice in fourth. And this one, let's definitely update this one. So with Shaw expected to start, which of these defenders would enter your Euro Fantasy lineup? 60% have gone for Cucurella, Luke Shaw is second, then it's Stones and Kyle Walker. So those are all the polls I put out. They pretty much cover a lot of the main questions for today. Remember, substitutions aren't important. You can't make them after the final. So once it begins, you are locked with your starting 11. So just make sure that's all sorted and captain your rightful player, the one you back to score the most points. It's going to be one shot to get it right. You cannot change the captaincy either. So let's go back now to my team for now. And then I think in 10 minutes we should have both official lineups on UEFA's website, but just a matter of time, really. So, yeah. Wish I could do a 3-6-1. Yeah, same here, to be fair. But to be honest, I think Yamal and Kane are still must-haves up front. I'm 17 points behind in the mini league. Who to captain? That is risky but might pay off. Phil Foden for England. For Spain, not really sure. I mean, I can't bring myself to say Morata, to be honest with you. Williams could be a shout, but I think Phil Foden springs to mind for me. Why not pick more players with ball recovery potential? It's still a possibility for me, but I mean, you say this. If we go into my team right now, Laporte, ball recoveries, Mark Gay is another one. In the midfield, fair enough. I do concede that all of them are really attack-minded, and that's why my fifth midfielder could end up being a Rodri or Declan Rice, purely for the ball recoveries. But even my proposed transfers would be, what, Cucurella, Carvajal, and Luke Shaw at the back. All of them have ball recovery potential, so I'm not really too concerned about that. Who are you captaining for this one? Dani Olmo is the current plan. It's not set in stone, but he has been my captain all week. Fabian Ruiz or Williams? I'd stick with Williams. No, I've only made one transfer. I've got 4 transfers left, so I can easily build a starting 11. How about Pickford in goal? Because I think you'll make more saves. That's fair enough, to be fair. The reason why I haven't gone for him is because I've got Mark Gay in the back line, and he's got the ball recovery potential. And I'm also, well, I went for a 1-0 Spain win, and Unai Simon has a better chance of a clean sheet, in my opinion. Thoughts on going 50-50 with players? It's not a bad shout. It's definitely a viable strategy. But I think if you're backing either Spain or England to win, the best call is to go for more of those players. 7 Spanish and 4 English, or vice versa. Will Rodri play defensive or offensive this game? I'd say defensive. If he plays offensive, then Spain won't really have anyone to counter England's midfielders and also their wingers. I think Rodri has to stay back. Pickford on goal is better. Since England do not shoot a lot, it probably won't be a clean sheet game and Pickford can make saves and bring points. Yeah, I think that's a fair shout, and I'd also say Unai Simon over Pickford isn't locked in for me. Yeah, Di Maria, Muller retiring from international football. It's a shame. I think Di Maria could easily play a high level for another year or two at the very least, but retiring at the top is also not a bad way to end things, and if he wins this final, scores yet again, then it might be the best time. 3-5-2 or 4-4-2. At the moment, I'm leaning towards 3-5-2, but I think it depends on my final transfer. You'll see what my final thoughts on that are, but I definitely think those two formations are the best. I'm on 5k, planning to captain Rodri. Should I go for it? I mean, if you're backing him to score highly, why not? But I think there are other players with a higher ceiling in this game. That's why I probably won't go for Rodri in the end, which might seem crazy. England is out. The team is ready. Come on, lads, smash it. Yeah, just over an hour left until kickoff. I'm just going to have a quick look now and see if we've got the lineups on UEFA's website. We do, finally. So we'll go through that once and for all, just for those that are new to the stream. Be sure to plug away at the likes and all that good stuff. So the lineups here are Unai Simon in goal, with Carvajal, Lenormand, Laporte and Cucurella. Rodri and Fabian Ruiz, Yamal, Olmo, Williams and Morata. So no changes for Spain. England have only made one change, which is Luke Shaw in for Kieran Trippier. So Pickford between the sticks, Gay, Stones and Walker as part of the back three, Shaw and Saka as the wing backs, Rice and Mainu as the midfield pivot, with Bellingham and Foden just behind Harry Kane. So no real surprises there whatsoever. Luke Shaw is the only change amongst both teams. So I'll leave that for a little while longer, and then I'll go back to my team, finalise my transfers because I've still got 4 left to make, and I will have some bench players, but it's not that important. It's just about picking that starting 11 and being happy with it. So my prediction is 3-1 Spain. I'd be very happy with a high-scoring final, to be fair. 1 differential to make up ground. Foden as captain. Luke Shaw at the back would be one of the biggest differentials I can think of. The missing captain in my collection is still good, which is Nico Williams or Foden. That's difficult. I think Foden. I don't know why, and maybe I should go for him myself. Spain are going to smash England. Well, let's wait and see, because you did say that before, I think, and it hasn't really panned out that way. ¿Qué estrategia usarías para remontar 10 puntos? Ya lo dije en inglés hace un rato atrás. Es difícil porque no sé el contexto. Tu rival en el mini league no sé si pone o si va a apoyar a España o Inglaterra para esta final. Pero creo que es mejor ir por Luke Shaw como defensor, Phil Foden como capitán, quizás. Pero si vos apoyás a España y crees que van a ganar la Eurocopa, va a ser difícil, porque con España no hay diferenciales en todo aspecto. Lenormand creo que tiene 3%, pero los demás tienen 20% o más. Hasta Laporte, que era una diferencial hace 1 o 2 semanas. Así que yo creo que Luke Shaw como defensor sería una buena transferencia para vos. Y quizás un capitán diferente como Phil Foden. Rodri o Saka? Saka. Well, I'll show my team later, but I would recommend not copying, but I know people will still do that. The lineup has already been announced. Yep, I already know that the Spain lineup was announced. We covered that earlier. But for England, I wanted to show the official lineup on UEFA's website. I was just waiting for them to update the page. Keep dreaming, England fans, you're still going to lose. Jesus, all right, let's calm down on that. Kane or Watkins? I know Kane will start, but Watkins is going to make an impact. Still Kane for me. Ruiz or Rodri? Ruiz. Now, the fact that it's a final, I think it makes it 50-50. And Rodri has ball recoveries over Fabian Ruiz. And I think he's more likely to get player of the match. But I'm going to stick with Fabian Ruiz because he's had a great tournament. If I'm building a team of the tournament, I think Fabian Ruiz is more likely to be in it than Rodri. Why not Rodri? He's a big match player and always delivered in big matches. Yeah, true. I literally just said that as well a couple of times in the stream, in fact. But if we all look at his ball recoveries as well, they have been sort of inconsistent. I think he made 14 against Germany, but then in other games he kind of gets 3 to 5, which is still good, but I don't think he's been great in Euro Fantasy, as we've seen maybe in the Champions League over the years. But the fact that it's a final, I've said this before, that evens things out a little bit, and I'm warming up to the idea of Rodri. Bench Morata, depends who you bench him for, but I'd honestly rather go for another Spanish or English midfielder. Even defenders would be higher on my list. Gay or Shaw? Very tricky. I think they're both really good for ball recoveries, but I'm going to stick with Mark Gay. Now, with Luke Shaw, you could be blessed in terms of he subbed off around 60, 70 minutes, and England still have a clean sheet at that stage. Then they might end up losing it, but he keeps that clean sheet intact. And he's also good for ball recoveries, but I'm going to stick with Mark Gay. Rice or Rodri? I still think Declan Rice is better for ball recoveries, and he's more likely to get you 4 points or above. But Rodri's ceiling is definitely higher than Rice. There's no denying that. Player of the match award potential, more likely to score a goal. But I'm going to stick with Rice at the moment. Pickford, Shaw, Cucurella, Carvajal, Williams, Olmo, Saka, Bellingham, Kane, Yamal, Morata. Yeah, it's a good team. Once again, Morata's my only concern. He could score in this final, and I look like a fool, but I just don't trust the player. A bit like Darwin Nunez, and also a few other players who have that sort of reputation. Lukaku, who I shouldn't have gone for in this tournament. Fabian Ruiz, captain, goal, and man of the match. He's had a great tournament. It wouldn't surprise me if he delivered, but yeah, for him to get that sort of score would be massive. Foden, Ruiz, or Rodri? Ruiz has been the best in this tournament. I've got a good feeling about Foden. It's such a difficult question to answer, but you know what? I'm going to stick to my guns. I'm going to say Fabian Ruiz is my favourite, and he's my most likely transfer in the midfield, but it's not locked in. Morata's a differential. Bookies believe he's most likely to score. He's going to get chances, but England don't concede that many big chances in this tournament. Only 4 in 6 games, which is very impressive. What's the atmosphere like there? Are you going to watch the game? Well, I'm watching at home, and my neighbours, obviously, they react to any England goal, and it's always like 30 seconds after it happens. It seems like they're watching on iPlayer, so there's a delay there. But yeah, it's a good atmosphere, and if you go to any local pub or bar, then yeah, it's definitely a madness. But I actually haven't seen England in this Euros at a bar. You know, I've heard some good things, I've seen videos, but I haven't done it in this tournament yet, and I probably won't, because I think I'm just going to stay at home for this. Rodri or Fabian Ruiz? Fabian Ruiz. Who to captain, Bellingham or Kane? I think Bellingham. ¿Confías en Morata? Lamentablemente no. Good luck, everyone. Likewise, Weiseng. And by the way, I'm going to check, but I think it's a possibility I can gift 10 memberships. If not, it will be the next stream I do. Yeah, I don't think I can, unfortunately. I thought I could. That's a shame. Maybe if I refresh this page. So just give me a second. Hopefully it doesn't cause any lag. But yeah, very soon I'll be gifting 10 memberships. If it's not today, it will be in the next stream, which will probably be for FPL. So yeah, I can't do it right now. Unfortunately, I have to wait another month for that to happen. So, can you show your team? I will do it, don't worry. I've only made 1 transfer already. I wouldn't recommend copying, and everyone's going to have the same team anyway. And I'm still deliberating between my final transfer. I'll probably watch it on BBC, but maybe, let's say ITV have a good co-commentator at least, like Ali McCoist, then maybe I'll go to ITV. But yeah, to be honest, I've got my feelings on both of them. ITV got rid of their best commentator, in my opinion. Foden or Rodri? I'm going to stick with Rodri. You know what? I think Foden has the highest ceiling, but Rodri, for me, is that big game player. What would be your differential pick if you were 7 points behind? I'd say Luke Shaw. He's got low ownership, ball recovery potential. Him being subbed off early could actually work in your favour. So I'd say Luke Shaw is one of them. England will win the Euros on FC24 and FM24. Jesus Christ. Good day, Dylan. Torres or Watkins for third striker? Probably Watkins. And some people ask me why. And it's simply because I'd go for 8 Spanish players elsewhere and not go for Morata. Bellingham or Saka? Bellingham. I think Foden is going to pop tonight. It's possible. I don't know what his record is in finals. I think a Man City fan will be able to enlighten me in the chat. I'm not sure if it's that great though. I think he might have scored in the Carabao Cup final once against Aston Villa. I think that was his only goal. But there's probably a few more I'm forgetting. Maybe in that big win against Watford a few years ago in the FA Cup final, he might have scored. So yeah, he might have scored a few goals in finals. Rice or Foden? Rice. Saka or Bellingham? Bellingham. 5 points behind, can I captain Bellingham against Olmo? Of course you can, and that could be one of your differentials that works for you, but only go for Bellingham if you really believe he's going to make the difference. He's a big game player. Gay or Shaw? I'm going to stick with Mark Gay. I'm 11 points ahead. Should I try to famble? Well, keep on doing what you're doing. Don't just go differential for the sake of it at this stage. I think that'd be a very risky thing to do. 11 points can be usurped, let's say. It can be surmountable for your opponent, so try to be careful with that. So let me now go to my team, and once again I have to stress this isn't my final squad. So I've got Unai Simon in goal, Laporte, Mark Gay, Olmo, Williams, Bellingham, Saka, Yamal and Kane. I've got 9 players available and I've got 4 transfers remaining. The only move I've made is Mbappe to Yamal, and very soon I'll be making my other transfers. So captain for today, if you're back in Spain to win, Olmo or Yamal in that order, England, Bellingham or Kane. Nico Williams or Ruiz. Ruiz has been more consistent. I think I'm going to go for Ruiz there. Ruiz or Bellingham? Bellingham. Who's the best captain option overall? I'm going for Olmo at the moment. Abrazo desde Ecuador. Gracias por tu trabajo. Saka es capitán is my best for today. Thank you, Omar. Y muchos saludos para Ecuador también. Tengo muchos amigos ecuatorianos. Sí, Saka como capitán está bien. A mí, mira, en finales su récord no es muy bueno. Creo que tiene una asistencia. No, actually no, tiene 2. Uno para Trossard en Community Shield y también para Aubameyang en contra Liverpool. Pero para mí Saka es un gran jugador y siempre rinde para Inglaterra. Así que mucha suerte para vos también. Foden or Saka or Rice? I would go for Rice. 5-man midfield with Ruiz, Williams, Olmo, Saka and Bellingham is a good plan. Yes, I think so. That will likely be my final midfield 5 too, if I'm being honest. I bought Ruiz back in Matchday 4. He was really good for me. A bit disappointing in the quarterfinals and semis, but yeah, I think Ruiz is a very good shout. I think so, Liad. It's between that and 4-4-2. I wouldn't go for something else, to be honest. Menu differential. I like Menu so much. I can't stress enough that I really like Menu, but in Euro Fantasy, no. ¿A quién sugieres de capitán para hacer algo de diferencia en puntos? Gracias. Phil Foden para Inglaterra. Y para España es más difícil, pero creo que Nico Williams o Yamal. If you go with 3 defenders, who will they be? And if you go with 4, who would you add? So my plan is to buy Cucurella and Carvajal. And I think I would go for Carvajal, Laporte and Gay as my back 3, sticking with Unai Simon in goal. And then in the midfield, I might add a 5th midfielder. That is my current plan. But before, if you saw my team selection, I was talking about going for a 4-4-2 and starting all of those Spanish defenders and Mark Gay at the same time. Do you think Yamal and Williams will be subbed off earlier, just like they always do? It's a final, though, and if it's 1-1, I think keeping one of them on the pitch is probably the best thing to do. Now, they are young, and going into a penalty shootout, you might want to take off these players for more experienced ones who are better at penalties, but yeah, I think they could be subbed off quite early, around 70-80 minutes, but I think if Spain are losing, for example, I don't think they'll be subbed off. So it's all about the context of the game. Differential captain in Spain. So Williams isn't a differential, so to speak, but captaining him would be. Same with Rodri or Fabian Ruiz. So I think one of those would probably be the best bet. Most people will captain Olmo or Yamal, I think, from Spain. Dylan, if England score first, they have a very high chance of winning. If they're pegged behind early, Spain is going to go all out to knock them out. But then going all out to knock them out might be the wrong approach because England could get them on the counter. Now, Spain's counter press is incredible, and I think they're also the best team in the tournament, both off the ball and on the ball. But I don't think scoring the first goal means you win or that you're very likely to win. We saw it in the last Euros final where England drew first. They drew the first blood. Luke Shaw scored in a couple of minutes, and they still ended up losing it on home soil. Carvajal as a captain, I'm not against it. In terms of defenders to captain, he'd be right up there. Look what he did in the Champions League final, scoring, keeping a clean sheet, winning player of the match. That was an incredible performance. Stones or Laporte? Laporte. I wouldn't go for Morata, personally. I just don't trust him. That's the way I see it. I might be wrong. Thank you, Zubin, for the super chat. Worth selling Ruiz, Saka, or Williams for Foden? Now, I get it. Foden is kind of due in this tournament. He hasn't scored or assisted, but I wouldn't sell one of those three players. I think it's very close. And look, it's such a difficult call, but I personally wouldn't. Foden or Saka? Probably Saka for me. What do you think about Shaw? I think it's a good differential, actually, and I'm open to buying him myself. The only concern is how many minutes does he play? Could he be subbed off for 460? Yes, he could, and that's not ideal. Carvajal or Laporte? Probably Carvajal. More avenues to points. With Laporte, you only have ball recoveries. With Carvajal, you've got goal potential, assist threat, player of the match awards, which he's won in the Champions League final already. I don't really doubt the Real Madrid DNA. How about Carvajal captaincy? Yeah, like I just covered, I think it's absolutely fine. Now, I'm not going to lie though, it's such a difficult one. I think Spain can keep a clean sheet here, but if you're asking me, would I captain Carvajal personally? I'm not feeling it's his game compared to the Bellinghams, the, let's say, Yamals and Olmos of this world. I think those three have a higher ceiling and they could be more likely to remount, or I'm speaking in Spanish now, to claw back your deficit in the mini league. Seems like everyone is sleeping on Morata. It's just my personal opinion. I don't trust him. Best Limitless team is covered on my channel already. Check it out. Best wildcard and Limitless team both rolled into one. Rodri's a great player, but the GOAT, no chance for me. I think Busquets is better, and there's probably a few other defensive midfielders who are better. But right now, he is the best defensive midfielder, probably midfielder in the world as well. Will England go 4-2-3-1 or 3-4-2-1? I think they'll go for a back three. Yep. Lenormand is probably your best chance of a differential for Spain. The thing is, though, I don't really rate him over Laporte, Carvajal, or Cucurella. In terms of ball recoveries, attacking potential, I think he's the worst of the lot. Saka or Rice? Probably Rice for me. If Morata pulls a Muani, I'm going to be mad. It's possible. Foden or Ruiz as a fifth midfielder? I'm going to stick with Ruiz. No. The bench isn't important at all in the final. It's all about your starting 11. I've always said this. Would you sell Saka for Foden? No. Would you swap Williams for Rodri? No. It's difficult though, because look, some of these things you're talking about can work. It's just, it's so difficult to envision it. A big difference between one player and the other. I would argue Williams has a higher ceiling than Rodri, but Rodri is a big game player. And then with Saka or Rice, for example, the other question, Saka for Foden. Foden is probably better in finals than Saka, but Saka's been more consistent for England in his whole career. So these are very difficult questions, but I'd probably stick with what you have. That's the way I see it. With 5 free transfers, though, you have the luxury to change things up a little bit. We have a fantastic feast of football. After this, it's Argentina versus Colombia. No, that's fine. I mean, I'm Argentina diehard fan, so I'll be staying up for that game. That's the game I really care about, to be quite honest with you. With this, I'm a neutral. No matter what happens, I'll enjoy it. But I need Argentina to win again. Carvajal or Shaw? Who should I go for? Carvajal. Give the 5 best differentials. Luke Shaw, Lenormand, Declan Rice. After that, it's very difficult. You're looking at bench players like Oyarzabal and probably Ollie Watkins. Those are my top 5 differentials. The rest will have 20% ownership or above. Now, captaining a Foden would be a differential, but yeah, I'll stick with those differentials. Foden or Ruiz? I'd go for Ruiz. Very close, but I'm going to stick with Ruiz. Bellingham or Foden? Bellingham. Yeah, sure starts. I think he's better than Walker. Do ball recovery players outweigh attacking players? Depends what kind of final you think we're going to get. Now, a lot of finals are low scoring and cagey, and from that perspective, I think ball recovery players tend to be better in these Champions League and Euro finals, but that's not always the case. I think a balance between the two is probably your best bet. That's a great question, Yuri. I'm not going to lie. I'd be tempted by 4-4-2 of Laporte in this scenario, but Ruiz has been great in this tournament. If someone is injured in the final, the game is over. Well, I hope we don't get any injuries, to be honest, no. Hey Dylan, been a great tourney and thanks for the streams. Thank you very much, Rishi. Would you swap Laporte for Cucurella in a free at the back with Carvajal and Gay? I honestly wouldn't. Laporte has lower ownership, and in terms of ball recoveries, it's been very close between the two in the knockouts. Thank you, by the way, Punjabi, for moderating the chat. If you're going to spam the chat like that, you're just not going to be answered. Should I go with 6 Spain, 5 England, or get more players from one side? I don't want to sit on the fence here, but it ultimately depends on your prediction for the final. So if you're backing a 1-1 or a draw and it goes to penalties, then your approach is fine. But if you're backing Spain to win, especially like 2 or 3-0, then I'd highly recommend going for 7 or 8 Spanish players. Should I swap Rice for Bellingham? I probably would, to be fair. Now, Rice is kind of a guarantee of 4 points or above, but Bellingham ceiling is very high. Yes, it is risky. I know Spain are the better team, but trust me, it would not surprise me at all if England got the job done. Let me now go to my transfer plans because I want to lock these in quite early. So I think it's quite settled for me to buy Carvajal. So I might make this transfer now and then focus on the other things to do as well. But Carvajal in for Saliba, pretty sound. I've still got a few other transfers left. Oh, by the way, this is not updated, is it? No, it's not. Let me just refresh this. Apologies for that. I have made a transfer already in Yamal. So, we can also refresh this page as well, by the way. Just give me a second. Okay. All right, now, Saliba out for Carvajal. Okay. I think I'm going to buy another defender as well. I mean, I've got 3 transfers remaining anyway. So, yeah, De Vrij or Koundé, doesn't really matter. Get rid of Koundé. I have to say, Luke Shaw is very tempting for me. And he's been very good for ball recoveries, but so is Cucurella. So, my original plan was to go for Unai Simon and go for 3 Spanish defenders and Marc Guéhi for a 4-4-2 and kind of go all in on the Spanish defence. 1-0 prediction was what I said a few days ago. But Pickford over Unai Simon might be better for saves potential, especially if you back both teams to concede. But I have to say, Luke Shaw for ball recoveries and having such low ownership is very tempting for me. He has scored in the final already. His ownership right now is 4%. It will probably rise to 10% by the end of this stream and when the deadline passes. But I'm kind of warming up to Luke Shaw, not going to lie. Cucurella would be the other transfer, of course, if I were to go for a Spanish player. N'Golo Kante out is kind of simple. And, well, getting rid of him is simple, but not the replacement. Fabian Ruiz, Rice, Rodri, Foden. The options are definitely there. And Foden has pretty much blanked in every single game except Matchday 1, but he still hasn't scored or assisted in this tournament. So, yeah, this will be my current plan, I think. Buying Luke Shaw, Carvajal and Fabian Ruiz, and I've still got another transfer. It could be Watkins, Morata, Ferran Torres up front, in for Cody Gakpo. I could even go for Declan Rice in the midfield to replace Saka. I could do that. Or buy another defender and then deliberate between my final transfer or final play in the starting 11. So it's very, very tough. We're talking about very fine margins here. And having 5 free transfers makes things very difficult, I think, to just lock in your team. I'm probably going to overthink this until the end. So I can't promise any of you that I'll lock in this team as early as I'd like, which would be the ideal scenario. But this is my current plan to buy Shaw, Carvajal, Cucurella and Fabian Ruiz. And I think I'd go for Unai Simon in goal, Laporte, Shaw, Guéhi and Carvajal. So 3 Spanish defensive coverage and 2 English. And then in the midfield, Ruiz, Williams, Olmo, Bellingham and Saka. And up front, Yamal and Harry Kane. So it would be 7 Spanish and 4 English. Actually, no. It would be 5. It actually would be quite a balance. And my original plan was to go for 7 or 8 Spaniards. So as you can tell, there's still a bit to decide on, to be quite honest with you. But let's actually go to my prediction. Let me know in the live chat what you think the score's going to be. So I've currently gone for 2-1 England in this predictor, and that's really to claw up a deficit in a mini league. And I put Harry Kane to score first. The boost is obviously activated, and that will be much needed to win that mini league. So that is my current prediction. Let me know in the live chat, who do you think scores first? Will it be Spain or England? Which player will score first? And put your scoreline as well. Let me show you the polls one last time and refresh them to get the most amount of votes possible. So what will your approach to Matchday 7 be? Go for more Spanish players is still winning with the same percentage, 60%. In second is strike a balance between the 2 finalists. And only 14% of you have gone for more English than Spanish players in your lineup. Then we go to choose your final captain in Euro Fantasy. Let me refresh this. And by the way, we've got almost 1,000 people watching. Let's smash the like button and get this stream to over 200 likes at the very least. Maybe even to over 300. It'd be a great way to wrap up this Euro Fantasy campaign. So Olmo is leading this with almost half of the votes. In second is Yamal, the 17-year-old wonder kid. He turned 17 yesterday. Harry Kane is third. And in fourth, we've got Bellingham and the other option. But I think Bellingham is just behind in terms of overall votes there. And as for your goalkeeper, Unai Simon or Pickford, I mean, we have a clear winner in Unai Simon, but Pickford does have the highest ceiling in terms of saves. So that's worth considering. If you're backing Spain and England to score, maybe Pickford would be your best bet between the sticks. But 64% of you have gone for the Athletic Bilbao keeper, Unai Simon. Pick one of these midfielders as well. We're going to refresh this and see what happens. So let me just check a few things on Twitter. But yeah, honestly, we know the lineups already, so nothing really to check. Just maybe some news or injuries. But pick one of these midfielders. Fabian Ruiz, 39%. Rodri in second, 26%. Phil Foden with almost a quarter of the votes. And Rice is last with 11%. A very underrated option. His ownership is also very low. But Fabian Ruiz has won that one. And this is the last poll I put out. So Shaw is starting, of course. Pick one of these defenders. Cucurella wins with 61%. Shaw is second. And then we've got Stones and Kyle Walker. So those are all the polls I put out on my channel. They cover a lot of your questions from, well, throughout the whole week, really. And it pretty much answers all your dilemmas. So let's now go back to my transfers and see what we can do here. But yeah, we've covered both lineups already. For those of you that aren't aware, Spain are unchanged from the semi-final, and we covered it earlier. And for England, just the one move, Luke Shaw in for Trippier at left back. Or left wing back, should we say. So, this is my current plan. Luke Shaw, Cucurella, Carvajal and Ruiz to form part of my last transfers. I've already bought Yamal in for Mbappe. That was always going to happen. So this could be my final 50-man squad. Then it's about finding that starting 11. Substitutions are irrelevant in Matchday 7. You also can't change the captaincy. It's one shot and that's it. Be careful how you make transfers. Just added Nacho and not Cucurella. That's never happened to me before, but yeah, it's something to definitely be wary of. Try to be fully conscious of what you're doing when you're making the transfers. Sometimes, you know, it might be a slip of a finger or something. Footballers coming home. Spain 5, England 6. What, on penalties? Surely not in 90 minutes. Carvajal pulling Saka incoming. Hopefully not. Ruiz or Rodri? Ruiz. Nico Williams only scored versus Georgia. Yeah, that's a point I've raised in all of my videos. It's a good one. I'm trying to convince myself to keep him. I know most players from my mini league will have him. It is concerning. He's never really struck me as that goals or assist type player. I think Yamal is more efficient in front of goal. So yeah, I think with Nico Williams in that game against Georgia, I was just scared every time he got close to the goal. But in every other game, I never really felt like he was going to score. So that's a really good shout. Hello, who to captain? I'm 11 points clear at first place. What would you do? I'm backing Spain, but I have Kane, Bellingham and Gay. I'd go for Dani Olmo or Yamal captain and keep doing what you're doing. And you should have enough to secure that top spot. Football is never coming home. Oh, Jesus. A lot of English hate, man. All right, well, we get it. Palmer ain't even starting. Well, no, and nor should he, in my opinion. Who you starting, Simon or Pickford? At the moment, I'm going for Unai Simon, but that could change. Would you have Nico Williams or Fabian Ruiz? Probably Ruiz, Tobias, or Tobias. Shaw or Carvajal? Carvajal. Shaw for Cucurella or Rice, Rodri, Foden for Saka? I'd rather go for Luke Shaw in for Cucurella. Yeah, same here. I can't decide on my transfers. And then if I make those transfers, I can't decide on my starting 11, let alone my captain. So don't worry, you're not the only one. So let's see what your predictions are saying. Roman says 1-1 and penalty shootout. Spain 3, England 1, says Daniel. Okay, interesting. 3-1 Spain, almost scores first. And by the way, Sina, I did cover this earlier. The only reason I'm going for 2-1 England and all that is to win my mini league because my rival will go for Spain. So the only way I can finish top of that league is by going for England to win. 3-2 Spain win, says Jose. 2-1 England win it, says Ephraim. Okay. Yamal will score first. Interesting. 4-1 Spain. Can't wait to see the... Oh, Jesus. Shaw or Stones and why? I'd go for Luke Shaw. I think the ball recoveries is certainly an advantage for him, although both of them are good in that regard. And I think Luke Shaw could be subbed off around 60 minutes and potentially bank an England clean sheet. 1-1 all the way to pens and England win, says Badgeraz. Interesting. Interesting. Starting 11, Pickford, Carvajal, Cucurella, Shaw, Foden, Saka, Ruiz, Williams, Olmo, Kane, Lamine. Which players would you change? I'm pretty happy with what you've gone for, to be fair. I don't think you need to change anything necessarily. Maybe Gay in for Shaw or Cucurella. But I wouldn't go for more English than Spanish defenders. Spain 5, England 0. Surely not. 2-1 Spain. A lot of people backing Spain here. If you could only have one England mid, would it be Saka or Bellingham? Bellingham. Yeah, it would be Bellingham for me. Just the clutch factor. Is Kane essential, Dylan? I think so. For me, Yamal and Kane are essential, and I'd go for 2 strikers there. Shaw or Carvajal? I've covered this, mate. Carvajal. Andre says Gay or Rice. Probably Mark Gay. Just about, though. Tomisho says bench 1. By the way, thanks you for moderating the chat there, Keith. Massively appreciated. I would go for... That is close. I think I'd have to bench Williams there from those lot. It's between him and Ruiz. I'd definitely start Kane, Olmo, Saka and Bellingham. What's the best captain? Olmo or Yamal for Spain if you're backing them to win. Bellingham or Kane for England. So that's covered. What do you think of the team? Very solid as well. I don't really have any issues except Mainu. And you also captain him. Look, maybe I'm wrong about this. Mainu has delivered in a final before. But in Euro Fantasy, I just don't think he's on the same level as Olmo, Bellingham, Williams, Saka, Rodri, Rice, all these players that we've talked about. What's the most realistic FL points score this round? I'm a close first in one mini league, but second and 25 plus points back in 2 others. It's going to be very difficult to overcome that deficit in my opinion, but it's possible. There's a very slim chance. You're going to have to get every single pick spot on, including the captaincy, which will be the decider for me. But yeah, 25 plus points is a very big margin for just one match day when a lot of us will have similar teams. Would you do Saka to Foden or Saka to Rice? Probably Rice. Foden has the highest ceiling though, and it's kind of awkward to go from Saka to Rice or vice versa. Shaw or Carvajal? Carvajal. Although you don't like Morata, could it be a differential? Yeah, it could be, but I don't think he's the biggest differential we've ever seen. So let me actually check his ownership. I think it's still over 20%, but I'll confirm that. I don't want to sell false information here. So right now, by the way, we are just short of 200 likes. So thank you to those that have done it already. Let's get this stream to over 200 likes and then potentially to 300. We've still got around 1,000 people watching now. All the support for Euro Fantasy and UCL Fantasy has been incredible over the years. Also the World Cup 2 years ago. And hopefully we can translate these numbers to FPL in the next season. And content will be coming out very soon for that as well. So Morata's ownership is, if I can quickly check this, 26%. So he's not the biggest differential in my opinion. Maybe though, not all of those who own him will start Morata. So that's also something else to think about. So yeah, he could be decent. It's just I don't trust Morata, to be quite honest with you. I'd captain Olmo. That's my current preference. Some of you are asking the same question as before, and I have highlighted it. I've answered it already multiple times, so just be aware of that. Kai says Olmo or Ruiz captain. Danny Olmo. Rishi says Shaw or Rodri, 4 at the back or 3. I think I'd go for Shaw. I think Olmo's insertion has dropped Ruiz back a bit, and it's hard to get behind Saka as a mid playing wing back. That's a shout. But I think Pedri was still playing that offensive role, and his best football comes when he's playing deeper, dictating the play. So I see what you're saying, and Olmo is more of a pure attacking midfielder than Pedri, which is probably why Ruiz hasn't really gotten into those positions as much. But even against France, he was making some great runs in the box, particularly in the first 10 minutes. Walker, Carvajal or Shaw? Carvajal. Yeah, K-Mag, I did answer that question. My answer was Shaw, and I gave an explanation. Yeah, subs don't count in the final. Rodri is on penalties for Spain. Agustin says Rodri or Ruiz. I'm going for Ruiz. My boy Cold will win man of the match. He'd have to make one hell of an impact off the bench. You start with 4 Spanish defense? Possibly. Now, with these proposed transfers you see on screen, it would be probably Shaw and Gay starting with Cucurella on the bench. But it's not locked in. I have to say that. It's not locked in. Saka or Williams? I'm probably going to go for Williams, but just about. You think it's better to use 3-5-2 or 4-4-2? I'm back in Spain to win, and I'm tied in first place in my mini league. I'm currently favouring 3-5-2. Early in the week, it was 4-4-2. It's a very close call, and it ultimately depends on personnel. You think Rodri over Ruiz is bad? No, it's not bad for sure. Rodri's a big game player. He can win player of the match, score from outside the box. So I don't really think it's a bad option. Top 3 captaincy options would be Olmo, Bellingham, and Yamal. Which goalkeeper? I'm currently going for Unai Simon, but that isn't locked in for me. Morata over Lamine? Not for me, but fair enough. No, TMM. I always recommend to people to not copy my team. For example, people who did in Matchday 1 would have had a bad score, and you can always do better than the person you're copying. Foden or Saka, I'm first in my mini league, and my rival got Foden. I'd go for Saka still. Rice or Laporte? Probably Laporte. Best formation for maximum points in your opinion? 3-5-2 or 4-4-2. It's honestly very close. It's going to be one of those formations for me. A second England defender or Ruiz as a 5 midfielder? That's also very close, but I'd probably go for Ruiz at the moment. What formation are you using? I'm considering a 3-5-2, 2 Spanish and 2 English. 1 is the goalkeeper, 3 Spanish mids, 2 English mids, and 1 forward from each team. I think that's also fine, and I might do something similar in the end, but I haven't decided it yet. Carvajal or Cucurella and why? Carvajal, he's won player of the match in the Champions League final already. He's got more assist threat. Ball recoveries is probably in Cucurella's favour, but not by much. I think Carvajal has more avenues to points. I'd also captain Olmo there, Lucas. 1 position, Ruiz, Foden, Rice, thank you so much. It's very close, but I'm going to stick with Ruiz. Differential captain options for mini league chasers. Phil Foden for England, and for Spain, I would probably go for a Nico Williams. Morata or Gay? Gay. Saka or Rice? Probably Rice. I back Spain, but my rival in the mini league 2. Is Foden captain and 7 Spanish a good strategy? It's not a bad one, but I have to say, look, if I'm not sure what the gap is, but maybe going for more English could work for you. Or you captain a differential Spanish player, which will be difficult, but maybe instead of Olmo captain, you go for Yamal, and that could be the difference maker instead. Captain option, other than Olmo, I've covered this all stream, mate. So Yamal for Spain, Harry Kane and Bellingham for England. It depends on who you back to win. My current preference is Olmo and Spain. Play Gay or Shaw? Gay. Rice or Shaw? Or should I even swap Kane for Shaw and go for Yamal as a sole forward? I'd probably go for Shaw. I wouldn't swap Kane for Shaw. Why Shaw? Good for ball recoveries. In just 87 minutes, he's made 7 ball recoveries and he scored in the previous Euros final. I think he'll get 60-70 minutes here. Yeah, Rodri is on pens. That is true. Don't you think Rodri being a penalty taker takes him over Ruiz or Rice? Look, I think what could ultimately settle it is the fact that Rodri is a massive big game player. You know, he's done it in a Champions League final before, scoring the winning goal, winning player of the match. He could do something similar here. But I think Rice is better for ball recoveries and Ruiz has been more consistent in terms of goal contributions. Between Morata, Kane, Bellingham, Saka and Rodri, would you leave out? Thinking Rodri because of the poor ball recoveries against France. I'm trying to chase, please. It's difficult, Ruben, because Rodri was also incredible against Germany. He made 14 ball recoveries that day. And in a final, you'd probably back him over all the other players you mentioned. I'd personally drop Morata and I'd start Rodri. Laporte or Lafuente? I'm guessing you mean Lenormand. I'd go for Laporte. Start Stones or Nico Williams? Probably Nico Williams. Cucurella or Carvajal? Carvajal. Captain, Olmo for me at the moment. I've covered this. Rice or Saka, Dylan? Rice. It's Rodri who takes penalties for Spain. And that's what could also go in his favour. Robert says Argentina 2-1. Not a bad prediction. I've gone for 1-0 myself. I'm hoping it's more comfortable than that, but Colombia are a good opponent. Carvajal or Cucurella? Some of these questions we have answered, by the way. I don't want to make this repetitive, but Carvajal. Pickford or Unai Simon. I'm currently going for Unai Simon, but that might change. Take care, Dylan. Thank you again for your help and good luck in the last match day, everyone. Likewise, Godsent. I'd go for Laporte, Foden or Saka. Saka for me. Yeah, same here, Soldier Boy. I think Pickford has a high ceiling in terms of saves potential, but Unai Simon has a better chance of a clean sheet. It's a very close one for me. I might go for Pickford in the end. Good luck for the finals, Dylan. Thanks for the content during the Euros. Thank you very much, Alif. I hope to see you in FPL soon. Start Shaw or Saka? Saka. Captain Foden? It's not a bad shout. If you're looking for a differential captain and you're backing the England win, I think Foden could be right up there. I'd go for Rice over Foden lyrics, but it's a very close call. Saka or Williams? Saka. Saka Williams? Scratch that. I'd go for Williams, but honestly, I'm not too sure about both of them today. Two between Yamal, Ruiz, Rodri, Laporte. I would go for Yamal and probably Laporte. Yeah, he does. That's true. And Nico Williams has got all of his goal contributions against Georgia, which isn't really a great thing. Hey, mate. Good to see you, Angel. Nico Williams or Rodri? You know what? I'm going to go for Rodri. Some of these calls are 50-50. Previously, I did say Nico Williams, but I think Rodri. I've gone for Shaw and Gay and Carvajal Simon back free defense. Yeah, I think that's a sound strategy. Some questions are being spammed, by the way, in comments. Try not to do that because, yeah, we're trying to cover as much as possible and you're getting in the way of people who haven't had their questions answered. So, yeah, just try to do the right thing there. Let me just deal with some of these, by the way. So just give me a second. Yeah, I'll probably do that later, to be fair. So, we are making great progress towards 300 likes. Let's get to that very soon before we end. I'd say BBC over ITV, but honestly, it depends on who's co-commentator. I know who the main commentator for ITV will be, and BBC to be fair, but yeah, we'll see. Two between Yamal, Ruiz, Rodri, Laporte. I covered, sorry. I shouldn't have gone through that again. Let's cover some new questions here. Good luck. Let's talk Vignal. I'd go for Laporte over Shaw. Yep, it is okay to captain Olmo. That's what I'm currently doing. Thank you very much, Deceptive. Thank you for the content throughout the Euros. Good luck for the next FPL season. Likewise to you. I hope to see you there. And also for UCL Fantasy. And for those of you that haven't played UCL Fantasy before, if you've enjoyed Euro Fantasy, why not play UCL Fantasy, which is identical? It's pretty much the exact same. The only difference is the number of match days, but we are getting a revamp this season. Best captain option, Olmo, Bellingham, Yamal, and Kane, probably in that order. Rice over Foden? I think so. You can only have 8 players from a certain country, so 8 from Spain, 7 from England, or vice versa. If I think England will win, change Ruiz to Rice or Saka. I'd probably go for Rice because you've already got 2 attacking options in Foden and Bellingham, and Rice gives you that guarantee of 4 points or above pretty much, so I'd go for Rice. Saka or Kane if I have Yamal and Morata? Kane still, and I would personally bench Morata. That's the way I see it. I could be wrong. Do you think I should captain Foden? I prefer others, so I'd probably say no. For those that are looking for differential captains, though, Foden is a good option. He hasn't scored or assisted yet in this Euros. He's probably due to do one, but I'd probably say, yeah, Foden is probably a step below Bellingham and Kane in terms of captaincy. I've never played FPL. This was my first. Well, hopefully you continue playing and enjoy it. I'm stressing about Simon Pickford, Gay, Laporte, Dani Olmo, captain, Ruiz, Rodri, Saka, Bellingham, Yamal, Kane, and free transfers. Thoughts? Foden for Saka? I'd keep Saka personally. A lot of these decisions are tough though, because when you have a certain player like Saka and then selling him to Foden, it's almost 50-50, and I'm not even sure if there's massive upside there. Maybe there is, but Saka's been more consistent for England over the last couple of years, and this could be Foden's night, but I'm not sure if I do that. As for Unai Simon or Pickford, I'm currently going for Unai Simon. If you're backing both teams to score, though, start Pickford. He'll probably make more saves in the game. Why pick 15? Any rules changed for the final? Well, I've got 5 free transfers. I might as well use them, right? And once I make those transfers finally, I can then decide who's going to start for me, which is the most important thing. Is it worth going for 5 defenders? I think so, but my favourite formation is 4-4-2 or 3-5-2. Yeah, I'm currently captaining Olmo. Is Rice worth captaining? Decent option, kind of solid baseline score, but I'd rather captain a high-ceiling player like Dani Olmo or Harry Kane. Who would you bench, Rodri, Shaw or Nico, and all the best? You know what? I'd probably bench Nico from those three. It's very reluctant for me to say that, but probably Nico Williams. Out of Saka, Bellingham and Rice, which two do you pick? Bellingham and Rice. Yeah, I think Rice would be a decent differential captain. And to be fair, just buying him alone is a differential. 13% ownership compared to everyone else who has 25% or above. Bellingham or Ruiz? Bellingham. Yeah, definitely Rice is worth keeping for me, 100%. I'd probably keep him in your case. I want Bellingham to blank even though I own him. Fair enough. I mean, you can see my captain on screen, and it might change, but that's my current captain. I haven't made any changes from what you see on screen. Captaincy poll out. I put one on my channel, and Dani Olmo had 45% of the vote. I could do a poll now in this chat very soon, but yeah, like I said, all the polls that pretty much people want are on my channel already. I'm going to stick with Saka. I'm going to back my boy Saka. And the same goes for here, potentially. Saka or Fabian Ruiz. I think I would go for... I'd go for Saka. So at the moment, the way I rank midfielders would be Olmo first, Bellingham second, probably Rice third. It's very difficult to rank these midfielders. We've literally got 8 or 9 to choose from, and to only have 5 of them is very difficult to narrow down. But I think those 3 would be my top picks. From those 3, Rice or Foden. I wouldn't start Morata. Which defenders will you start out of yours? At the moment, it would be Laporte, Shaw, Gay, and Carvajal with Cucurella on the bench. That isn't locked in, though. I have to stress that. It isn't locked in. As usual, I'm going to probably leave this until the very end, so it's not what I want to do. So if you haven't already as well, follow me on Twitter and Instagram, DylanRCM, and check all the other links like my Discord server, which is a great community to be a part of, and also the patrons and the channel memberships. You can get early access to all of my videos by signing up, so make sure to check that out. And in my next stream, I'll be gifting 10 memberships, so all you have to do is tune in live, and you can be one of the lucky winners. So, let us see. Gary puts his team: Kane, Yamal, Olmo, captain, Bellingham, Saka, Foden, Williams, Cucurella, Gay, Laporte, Pickford. Nice balance. You're captaining Olmo as well. Maybe to jinx, right? Because you did say England are going to win this. So yeah, some of these questions have been repeated. I'm not going to go into that. Safest captain, Olmo. He'd be up there. I think Olmo, Bellingham, and Kane, probably the safest captains, but I do rank Yamal a little bit higher than Kane at the moment. Top 3 captaincy options. Saludos desde Panamá. Gracias, Mega. Olmo, Bellingham, y Yamal. Walker or Laporte, says Luis. Laporte. Rice, Ruiz, Shaw, Cucurella. Can you pick 3 out of the 4? I would drop Fabian Ruiz. Saka or Rice? Declan Rice. Harry says, hi Dylan. Between Rice and Foden, look, Foden has the highest ceiling, I'm not going to lie to you, and I might end up going for him in the end, but I think Declan Rice is probably the better option overall. Watching this at 3 AM and preparing for 3 hours sleep for work tomorrow. Pray for me. Good luck, Sean. I just wonder where you are in the world, but yeah, it's a shame that for all these finals for Copa America and Euros, it's just far too late for you, isn't it? So yeah, it's not ideal. Who's going to have more points, Pickford or Simon? If both teams score, I think Pickford gets more points from saves, but my original prediction a few days ago was a 1-0 Spain win, and if that's the case, then yeah, I think Unai Simon would be the one. At the moment, I'm going for the Spaniard. That might change though. Going for an England win, says same old G. Captain Kane or Gay? Good content, by the way. Thank you. Probably Kane for me. I still think Spain will score. Como Capitán Luis, tengo a Dani Olmo. Which form to use? I'm not sure what you mean by that. If you're talking about chips, really, if you've got Limitless and Wildcard, just use the Limitless, but it honestly makes no difference. Are you considering a late Williams to Rodri swap? Maybe. maybe instead of making a 5th defender transfer, I'll just focus on the midfield and do something like that. But I'm not going to lie, maybe it's a kind of a mentality, a psychological thing where you don't want to sell a certain player you have already set for the final because you kind of fear the worst that they'll end up delivering. And I think Nico Williams could be one of those players, but it's a possibility. Yeah, Rodri's a good captain. I'm not going for it myself, though. Even if I buy him in the end, I don't think I'm going to captain him. ¿Cuál es la mejor opción para capitán? Para España, Dani Olmo o Yamal. Y con Inglaterra tienes a Bellingham y Harry Kane. Carvajal o Walker? Carvajal for me. Vamos Inglaterra, says Gary. Alex says Ruiz, Bellingham, Rodri, Saka, Olmo and Rice. Pick 4. Olmo, Bellingham, Rice, and the 4th one is bloody difficult, I can't lie. I'm going to go for... This is pretty much what is, you know, my final decision to make, and that will end up locking in my team for me. I'll stick with Fabian Ruiz for now, but I'm not sure if I'm going to stick with that. Definitely Bellingham and Olmo, mate. Those two for sure. I'd go for Rice in 3rd, and then Fabian Ruiz at the moment. So Foden or Ruiz, I'm going to stick with Ruiz. If we get to 500 likes before kickoff, I'll gift 5 memberships. Thank you, Tiggy Taylor. Obviously, you've already done a lot. You gifted 5 memberships in the last stream, so you don't have to do that. But I appreciate it very much. Thank you I appreciate all the support you give and also all your contributions to the channel. I'm on a 3-5-2 so far. Yeah, originally I was on 4-4-2, and now I'm kind of leaning towards 3-5-2 because we have so many midfielders to choose from. Is it crazy for me to assume that Foden will perform better than Bellingham due to him finally finding his form? No, I don't think that's a bad shout. It's just, for me, Bellingham doesn't need to play well. He can just score in the 90th minute like he did against Slovakia after playing terribly for the whole game. But yeah, I think Foden has a chance of being the decider in this final. Rodri or Shaw? Shaw is a risky pick, I will give you that. I'm going to probably go for Rodri here. A lot of these are literally 50-50. They really are. I would go for Carvajal, Kimps. Why is Bellingham ranked 2 for midfield options in your opinion? Because like I said, for me, if England get the victory or if they score a goal, Bellingham is so likely to be involved. He doesn't need to play well. And you're right, in terms of ball recoveries, he's not doing what he did for Borussia Dortmund a few years ago. But he is still that difference maker in the final third. Who do I transfer in, Kane or Yamal? Oh, I'd still go for Kane, but honestly, you want to go for both. Is Foden better than Saka? He might be for the final, but for England, Saka is a more consistent player. That's why I generally recommend him. Ruiz or Rodri? Ruiz for now. I have to say for now because this could definitely change. Olmo for me, Christian, I have covered this question many times. Olmo, if you're backing Spain, probably Bellingham for England. Sideways move, Saka to Rice. I'm in a similar position where I could do Williams to Rodri or Ruiz, and I'm not entirely confident about it. I'm not sure if I'd sell Saka per se, but Rice is probably slightly better in terms of guaranteeing you 4 points or above. Nico, Foden, Saka, which one? I'd probably go for Nico Williams, just about. I think Williams just above Saka. Pick 4, Ruiz, Olmo, Rice, Saka, Jude. Olmo, Jude, Rice, and probably Ruiz. Yamal or Olmo? Olmo. Walker or Gay? Gay. Francisco says, need to go all in to try to get first. Should I go all in on Spain or England defence? I'd say Spain. So yeah, I'll decide this very soon when I make my final transfers, but Carvajal will definitely start for me, and probably Gay. So let me actually make my final transfers. I don't want to leave this until the last minute. I have answered a lot of your questions, and some of them I have changed my mind on throughout the stream because they're honestly 50-50. And my plan now, within the next 10 minutes hopefully, is to lock in my squad, and you can see my final answers to your questions because some of them are very difficult. We've only got 2 teams to choose from, Spain and England, and some of these are 50-50 calls that can go either way, and you're kind of hoping for the rub of the green. So no need to make any goalkeeper changes, thankfully. So I can pretty much play with that position until the deadline. But I need to make midfielder and defender transfers. I'm not really too keen on buying Watkins, Ferran Torres, or Bowen per se, even Ivan Toney or Morata. So I'm quite happy with just Yamal and Kane, and I've already bought Yamal as part of my free transfers. So with 4 moves left, yeah, it's going to be very difficult, I think, to decide on this. But if I'm going to buy one English defender, I know it's going to be Luke Shaw. So that's quite locked in. Carvajal and Cucurella also relatively locked in. But this final midfielder slot, which is definitely very tricky to get right, I'd say. And another thing I could do is keep a Jules Koundé or De Vrij and make another move in the midfield, selling one of Williams or Saka potentially. But that's going to be a very difficult decision for me to make. And once I lock that decision in, everything else will fall into place and I can make my final 11. Start Gay or Shaw? I'd go for Gay there. Rodri or Ruiz? Ruiz at the moment. That might change though. Shaw or Gay? Yes, I covered that, sorry. Laporte or Cucurella? Laporte. So yeah, you can't make subs during the match, no. I've always said this from the beginning. Matchday 7 is the only time you can't change the captaincy or make substitutions. I think I covered this question, mate. So Olmo, Jude, Saka and Ruiz probably, yeah, for the balance as well, I'd say. So I'd drop Williams from those. Even if you could argue Williams is better in isolation than Saka. Thank you, Gary, for being a member for 4 months. Come on, England, football's coming home, Dylan. It could do. It's going to be a very tricky test, though, against the best team in Europe at the moment. Carvajal, Laporte or Shaw? Carvajal. Cucurella or Carvajal? Carvajal. That's one question I'm not going to change my mind on, to be honest. I would go for Cucurella there, Francisco. So yeah, let's finish this up. Andrew, thank you very much. So thanks for your help in this championship. You've been helpful in giving guidance and shining a light where it's been difficult. Thanks again. Looking forward to following you in FPL. Cheers. I appreciate the kind words, Andrew. Good luck for the Euros final. Enjoy it. And yeah, let's wait and see what happens. I really don't understand your dismissal of Morata. Well, I think the record in this tournament speaks for itself, right? And he's missed a lot of big chances. I think Mark Gay's been much more consistent in terms of Euro fantasy output. But Morata will get chances today. And look, he could be a difference maker, and I could be wrong about it, and I've said this before, but I'm going to stick with my gut feeling, which is I don't see Morata making a real impact in this game. Let's wait and see if I'm wrong. Just remember, Scotland beat Spain in the qualifiers. Anything is possible. True, but I think Spain have massively improved since then, and they didn't have the same manager. I think it was... Actually, maybe they did. Maybe they did, actually. It's one of the first few games of De La Fuente. But Shaw can only play 45 minutes. I know he's only done that in the last 2 games, but I think he can play 60 plus here. I really do. Shaw or Cucurella? Probably Cucurella. Who should I captain? Olmo, Yamal or Kane? Olmo is my current preference. I would go for Laporte over Lenormand. Ruiz or Nico Williams to start? Probably Fabian Ruiz. If you could pick 2, Saka, Rodri, Ruiz... Saka and Ruiz. So yeah, let me lock in my team finally, because otherwise I'm going to be here all day. So, mamma mia, mamma mia. What I could end up doing actually is start Pickford in goal, start Mark Gay. Mamma mia. Yeah, and go for Laporte and Cucurella, sorry, and Carvajal as the back line, and then go for 5 midfielders. That could be my final play here, but I have to say, not too sure about this one. It's literally the 3-5-2 or 4-4-2 and then deciding which final midfielder I buy. That's literally the only thing that's kind of stopping me from finalising my team as much as I'd want to right now, because I want to just get back to answer your questions, the new ones anyway. But yeah, you know what? Let's get this show on the road. So, all right. I'm going to keep Saka, I think. I don't think I'm going to sell him. Nico Williams to Rodri. That's something else I'm thinking about. Such a difficult decision to make here. Yeah, this is going to be a very tough decision for me. But I'm quite settled on buying Cucurella and Carvajal, to be honest. I really am. It's just that final midfielder or midfielders that really stopped me from finalising my team. So yeah, I think right now... Yeah, we still got nearly 1,000 people watching. It's insane. We have got to over 300 likes. Thank you very much for your support and those new subscribers. Let's push on as well to 26k. We reached 25,000 just a few days ago, and all your support goes a long way to helping this channel grow. So thank you very much. Mamma mia. Rodri, you know you want to. He is a big game player, isn't he? He really is. I just sold Saka for Rice. Look, it does seem like a sideways transfer, but Rice is kind of guaranteed to deliver you something. Saka isn't. Is Morata a good differential over Rees or Rodri? Look, Morata is still a decent option. He will get opportunities, but he's a bit like Darwin Nunez and Lukaku, who kind of miss a lot of big chances. The thing is, though, Robert, I think Walker has had a poor tournament, and I think Williams can get at him, actually. Maybe in terms of 1v1s, Walker can kind of keep up, but he has been out of position a few times. Even in terms of playing attackers onside, he's been doing the wrong thing there. But yeah, Williams has been very inconsistent with GA. Yeah, Nico Williams to Declan Rice. I think that's a good shout, to be fair. Are you thinking of starting Shaw or Gay? No, Gay. Gay for me is definitely the one. I'm not going to bench Kane, to be honest. He's going to start for me no matter what. He's got a poor record in finals, though. I will show who I'm starting when I make my team, but no matter what you do, I would say don't copy, because I might leave this until the very end. You know how I am. Yeah, but once again, I don't think Walker's been that great. Best England defender, Mark Gay. Stones or Walker? Stones just about, but they're kind of identical. There's 1 point in it. Yep, Rodri is clutching big games. That is true. Yep, 9 minutes, now just under 8 to lock it. Kane or Morata? Definitely Kane for me, Luis. Mateus says, hi Dylan, I have Pickford, Carvajal, Gay, Walker captain. Walker captain, wow. Olmo, Foden, Saka. I'm going to stick with Saka. Foden, this could be his game. He's got a good record in finals, I believe. He's scored a few goals anyway, but I'm going to go for Saka. The rest looks incredible. I'm not so sure about Walker captain though, but to each his own. Back your gut and don't listen to me. Yeah, I appreciate it. Yeah, I agree, Soldier Boy, but everyone's different. Sold Saka for Rice. Saka is up against Cucurella. Well, Saka tormented Cucurella the last time they played, which was Arsenal-Chelsea. Different scenario, of course, but I think Saka's going to be fouled a lot here. Saka or Nico to Rice? It depends on the rest of your midfield, but I think I would sell Saka. No, I'm not underestimating Rodri at all. I really am not. I might even go for Rodri and Rice at the end. Yeah, thank you, Jack. We are getting a lot of likes here. If we can get to 400 plus, that would be appreciated. I have answered this already, Samuel. Laporte for me. Carvajal is my favorite Spanish defender. So the way I rank it is Carvajal, Laporte, Cucurella. Stones or Carvajal? It would be Carvajal again. Even if you've got Pickford in goal and that setup, I would go for the Real Madrid right back. Bellingham for me, not Alex. It would be Bellingham. And here again as well, Luka. Jude over Saka for me. 2-1 England, says Gary. Gone for Foden captain, says Let's Talk Vignal. Williams to Ruiz, 1 transfer left. It's tempting, but once again with Ruiz or any of these players in the midfield, it's so difficult to sell one of them, in my opinion. There's kind of that fear of losing out and making the wrong decision, but it ultimately happens. I wouldn't captain Rice, but I think he's a solid option in the midfield. I think ball recoveries is kind of guaranteed. So you know what? Is this the right call, lad? Is it the right call? I'm not sure, but bloody Nico Williams. I think what I'm going to do here is go for Declan Rice. So I'm literally going for the 5 high-scoring midfielders in the game. And yeah, I would have 2 eliminated players in Gakpo and Koundé, but that's not relevant. It's all about the starting 11. If I were to go for this setup, and by the way, it could be Rodri over Ruiz as well. I'll decide that very soon. So I think my setup would be Pickford in goal with Laporte, Gay and Carvajal. In the midfield, I would go for Olmo, Rice, Bellingham, Saka and either Ruiz or Rodri. Yamal and Kane up front. So it would be a balance, I think, with that approach. It would be. But I could also bench a Declan Rice still, or even Saka. So these are my final decisions to make. I've got to make them fast because we've got less than 5 minutes left until the deadline. So yeah, I'm not going to lie though. The only thing I care about is the Copa final later, but this will be a great game to watch. I'm also going to be reacting to it for the first few minutes of the game. if people are still here in the chat. So, yeah, you can still keep your questions going. But of course, all focus will be on the Euros final. Captain Saka or Jude? Yeah, Bellingham for me is the best English midfielder based on his ability to just win finals, win games by himself. Good luck as well, ASPD. Who is on your bench? That's what I'm going to decide right now. Yeah, 3 minutes in. Yeah, I'm going to get this over with. So I'm sticking with 3-5-2 formation. Yeah, that's a fair shout. It really is. It's between that or 4-4-2 for me. Good luck as well, Angel. All right, time to get this locked in, lads and lasses. So I think I'm going to go for this, you know. It's just Ruiz or Rodri. Ah, oh, bloody Rodri, this guy, man. He's a big game player, he really is, but I think I'm going to go for Ruiz. I think just a bit of a higher ceiling. Go for Declan Rice as well for the ball recoveries. Selling Williams could be a mistake, though. It really could. Yeah, I think I'm going to lock this in then. I think this will be my final transfers. No, you can't make subs. You can't do that. It's about your starting 11 and that's it. Not necessarily safe, but I think Rice is more likely to deliver something. I'm not going to captain Rice though, but it's not a bad shout. You do what's right. Well, that's a difficult thing to kind of measure. Good luck as well, Tiggy Taylor. I'll see you very soon in FPL. Please finish it. Well, I will. Don't worry. I will do it. It's just, will I do it in a good way? Will I have some regrets? Maybe. Maybe I will. How long do you think Shaw will play? I think 60 minutes. 60, 70. He'll probably be subbed off around that time. Especially if England are trailing and they want to change systems or go for a different approach. It would be Bellingham. Bellingham will be my top pick in terms of England midfielders. So that's it, I think. Yeah, time to lock in. I'm not going to try overcomplicate this too much. Nico Williams, man, I think this could be a mistake. That's the only kind of doubt I have. Also, Ruiz or Rodri. But yeah, I think I'm going to stick with this. Does seem a bit mad though. I can't lie. Declan Rice has been so consistent, but then again, 4 points. Nah, I think I'm going to go stick with Rice. Yeah, Fabian Ruiz or Rodri. Yeah, I think I'm going to stick with Fabian Ruiz here. Rodri. Don't do this at home, kids. Lock in your teams now. The site could definitely crash. But yeah, I'm going to go for this setup. All right, that's it. Let's lock in this team now. That's done. Whatever. There could be regrets. Bloody blah. All right, let's make sure I've got my right players in. So Carvajal in. Fabian Ruiz in. Okay, that's fine. And then I think this could be my final setup here. Interesting. I'm actually thinking about Cucurella over Saka as well. I am. Dani Olmo captain. Who knows at this point? Pickford or Unai Simon. We've literally got 50 seconds left to lock in this team. Good luck to you as well, Neo, and everyone else. Let's go Gmail account. Great name. What's your starting defense? It's probably this. Yeah, Rodri did make 14 ball recoveries in the quarterfinals. I could see him making quite a few here. At least 6, but I went for Ruiz for the bigger attacking potential, dare I say. But yeah, I think I'm going to stick with this. So ultimately, it does seem like I'm getting too many English players in. I can't lie. Yeah, it's 6 Spanish, 5 English. I'm kind of going all in on the English midfield, which I'm not a big fan of, but maybe I made a mistake there. Nico Williams out. We've literally got 10 seconds left. Yeah, Dani Olmo captain. I think I'm going to stick with that. Unai Simon in goal. So I'm kind of backing a Spanish clean sheet, so to speak, but if it is wiped out, more likely than not, I will cover the points there. Maybe not the best balance or the best approach, but there you go. That's my final squad. Kane captain, good luck to you. And we are locked in now. The team, well, the game has started. No, you can't make any subs. Just like in Euro Fantasy, you can't. Let me just... This England team, go for it. Have no regrets. I'm trying to mute the bloody TV. But yeah, I've got the game on right now, and let's see what happens. Good luck as well, Don Natho. Yeah, we are locked in. Not particularly proud or happy with maybe my approach at the end. I should have locked in my team a bit earlier, but yeah, some of these are literally 50-50 calls, so we'll see. I went from Williams to Rodri. Not a bad shout. You could argue you went from the highest ceiling player to one who is likely going to get you 4 or 5 points, but 4 or 5 points is precious in the final. I would have gone for Fabian Ruiz there, Abra. Good luck as well. PXL Pusher. I would have gone for Olmo Captain. Might have gone for it myself. Rodri, though, yeah, that could be one of my regrets. Also selling Williams. Apart from that, though, I'm happy with my defence. Even Unai Simon in goal. I just think if there is a clean sheet tonight, it will be Spain. But yeah, Spain 1-0 is actually my prediction. Yet in my predictor, I've gone for the complete opposite in the hopes that I can make a comeback in my mini league. So yeah, that is what I've gone for. Kane to score first, England to score first. Maybe that's wrong. I think Spain will probably be the ones to strike first no matter what happens. But like I said, I'm going all in on England in this in the hopes of winning this as well. And be sure to join my Euro Fantasy League if you haven't already. It's the last match day. Enjoy the Euros final. It should be a good one. But yeah, late drama as always in my deadline stream. I'm just hoping Nico Williams doesn't score or assist. No foul given. Luke Shaw on Yamal, and England are now making a transitional play. But Carvajal already recovers the ball. Good start there for the Spaniard. And let's go back to my Euro Fantasy team. So this is how things were before transfers were made. And this is my final squad. So Unai Simon in goal, Laporte, Gay and Carvajal. Dani Olmo, Rice, Bellingham, Saka and Ruiz with Yamal and Kane. I think no matter what happens, Rice will give me 4 points or above. That's the hope anyway. And yeah, I think the midfield was the most difficult part to assemble of the squad. But I think the defensive line, the forward line in particular, very, very easy. It's just about the final details. Ultimately, I went for 6 Spanish, 5 English. In my team selection, I was talking about, I think 7 Spanish, 4 English in the end. I have to double check that. I did have, for example, Nico Williams instead of Declan Rice. And I think everything else was the exact same. So let's see if that proves to be fruitful. So thank you, Gary. Always good to see you. Locked in indeed. Good luck as well. Fatty Potato. Good luck, lads. Let's hope for a good game. Yes, hopefully. And thank you to those that liked as well. Thank you, Jack. And yeah, we still got 200 people watching. So you can still watch at the same time as watching the Euros and commenting your thoughts on the final. Will we get a goal in the first half? Let's wait and see. Good luck, Miguel Costa. Good luck, Dylan. And guys, Viva España. Yeah, a lot of people are backing Spain today. The non-English people anyway. Went for Foden over Cucurella. Let's see if it pays off. Yeah, I mean, it's got the highest ceiling, right? With Cucurella, if a clean sheet is kept, then yeah, he could do extremely well. But otherwise, you're looking at 3 or 4 points from him. Best of luck. It was wonderful to be with you throughout Euro 2024. See you soon. Yes, and that's my second Euro Fantasy game covered on this channel. I did it 3 years ago as well, the World Cup, and of course, all the Premier League and Champions League seasons in the last 4 or 5 years. So let's wait and see. Hopefully we can get to more goals very soon. We're making big progress already towards 26k. Thank you very much, Akash. It's a pleasure. Good luck as well, JibX. Thank you very much. Good luck as well, Punjabi and Akash. Gracias por el trabajo tan bueno que haces. Siempre veo tus videos de cualquier juego de fantasy. Saludos desde Colombia. Espero les ganemos esta noche. Buena suerte, Fantasy Football Lad. Me alegro de tus palabras y vamos a ver. Será una buena final, pero como siempre voy a apoyar a Argentina. Good luck as well, Kimps. We usually do get a goal while Dylan is streaming. That is true, especially in Champions League. I just hope it's not Nico Williams. Is that too much to ask for? No assists as well either, by the way. I can't have that. Usually not from one of his players, though. Ouch. Damn. I've actually had a few goals, but then they're disallowed. I think I once had Gossens for Union Berlin. He scored, and then it was, disallowed, and he ended up blanking. Thanks for all the great Euro 2024 content. See you mid-August. Thank you. There's probably going to be FPL content very soon, perhaps even this week. But yeah, in terms of deadline streams and stuff, yeah, I'll see you next month. Good luck, Dylan. We'll be waiting for you to see your fantasy as well. Yes, and there is a big difference with the format change. So we could see new chips, we could see a few different features, but yeah, I think that will change the complexion of the best chip strategy and also just how we approach the start of the Champions League campaign. But thank you to everyone for watching. It has been a blast, as I have mentioned already. So smash the like button and subscribe if you're new, and let's try to get this stream to as many likes as possible. Thank you to those that have already supported the channel, and you can also subscribe and hit the notification bell so you never miss a single upload or live stream. Follow me on Twitter and Instagram, DylanRCM, for all the updates for UCL Fantasy, World Cup, Euro, and FPL. A lot of fantasy formats are covered on this channel, and I'm looking to finish in the top 1K here, as I did in UCL Fantasy, but it will be a tough ask. A lot of us have very similar teams, but fine margins today. And if you do have the goal scorer of this final in your team, you've got a great chance of getting the rank you want and a green arrow. There's also the Discord server, which is a great community to be a part of. All the fantasy formats are covered there, and everyone helps each other out with last minute conundrums, captaincy choices, and much more. And there's also my Spotify for all my videos and live streams in podcast format. Make sure you check that out and leave a 5-star review if you're using your mobile. That would be greatly appreciated as well. Enjoy the Euros final, and today is just a day of finals, right? The Wimbledon final, we have the Copa America later tonight, but hopefully we have some great action and some fantastic football in the process. Take care, everyone. I'll see you very soon for FPL content. That concludes Euro 2024 on this channel, and I hope to see you very soon.